After my sister died in childbirth, my fiancé took his own life. While sorting through his belongings, I finally realized how deeply he had loved her. Those 10 years I spent by his side, from basement dwellings to luxury villas, paled in comparison to the smile he first gave my sister at 15, so when I returned to our school days, I averted my gaze from him. This time, I'll let him have his way. 1. Madam. It's terrible, the master, he's taken his own life. Those words struck me like a thunderbolt. The white rose slipped from my hand. Seria, this is no laughing matter. My whole body trembled as I warned the maid, but Seria sobbed. It's true, madam, the master. He slit his wrists in the bathroom. What is it? My mind went blank with a deafening buzz. My legs gave way, and I collapsed to the ground, instinctively shielding my belly. Just before blacking out, only one thought flashed through my mind. Suicide, Shinsun. How could he possibly kill himself? 2. I woke at dusk. The antiseptic smell hung heavy in the air. The ward hallway buzzed with commotion. A swarm of reporters jostled at the doorway. May I ask why Mr. Shin took his own life? Was it due to depression or other reasons? Rumors say Mr. and Mrs. Shin were deeply in love and perfectly matched, yet they never planned to have children after marriage. Was their affection just a facade? What exactly triggered his suicide? The voices outside the hospital room grew louder. The camera flashes were glaringly obvious against the glass. I clutched my head, trying to ease the throbbing pain. The reporters' questions grew increasingly pointed, trying to lure me out of the hospital room for a direct response. But I knew stepping out for an interview now would only make things worse. As the vice president of Shin Corporation, I must maintain control of the situation. I lost track of how much time had passed. The reporters abruptly fell silent. Their noise was replaced by a sharp female voice. Who let you in? Get out now. My heart sank. It was my mother-in-law. 3. She never liked me. She finds me too dull and boring, not as cheerful as my younger sister. The hospital room door swung open. An elderly woman in a black overcoat entered. Her eyes were bloodshot, her appearance weary from travel. She flung her bag aside and screamed at me. How could Sinner suddenly take her own life? Clutching the blanket, I shook my head. I don't know. I'm just as shocked. Mom, enough. She stepped forward and slapped me. You've no right to call me Mom. I kept my stinging cheek, staring at the ground. The old woman gasped for breath, her tear-streaked face turned upward toward the sky. How could this sudden suicide happen? She murmured. A sudden clap of thunder roared outside the window. Then came the downpour. When I came to, Grandma was already gone. I was left alone in the empty room. And the tear-soaked corner of the quilt. 4. Shinsun's funeral is scheduled in 2 days. On the same day as my sister's, I held 3 consecutive press conferences, fielding all sorts of tricky questions. I didn't get to see Shinsun until the day before the funeral. He lay quietly in the center of the hall, surrounded by flowers. I stepped forward and placed a white rose in his hand. Then I sat beside him, gazing silently for what felt like an eternity, as I looked at the white rose resting in his arms. I felt utterly drained. Everyone keeps asking me why Shinsun took his own life, but the truth is, I don't know either. He was exceptionally gifted and brilliant since childhood. Even growing up in poverty never slowed him down. I'd been by his side since he was 15, from a damp, gloomy basement to a luxurious high-end villa. I watched him grow from a naive boy into a strategic corporate CEO. But why would he take his own life? Would you abandon me halfway and leave me alone? I don't understand. I slowly stood up, my right hand resting on my flat abdomen, murmuring, I haven't told you yet, I'm pregnant. 5. The funeral over, I returned home and stepped into the bedroom. The servants had already begun sorting through his belongings, from summer tees to winter coats and wool sweaters. Bit by bit, they disappeared from the room. According to tradition, all these must be burned, not a single trace left. I sat on the bed, watching them sort through things, zoning out, mind blank. It wasn't until the maid asked, Madam, shall we tidy up the master's study? I snapped out of my daze. The study was forbidden territory in our household. Shinsun forbade anyone from entering, myself included. After a moment's hesitation, I rose to my feet. Let me handle the tidying up. I've stood by Shinsun for 10 years, yet his heart remains an enigma to me. If his study holds the secrets of his soul, then I, as his wife for one last time, claim my right to uncover, to discover. Shinsun, what kind of man are you truly? 6. The study requires an access code. I've tried numerous times. The date I first met Shinsun, our wedding date, my birthday, his birthday, only one chance remains until the end. The door lock will engage permanently after another incorrect attempt. I stood at the study door, my palms growing clammy with sweat. If none of this was real, then what could it be? I noticed my hands had begun to tremble, suddenly. The memory of my 15th birthday flashed through my mind. Only a handful of people came to celebrate with me, Shin-sun, my younger sister, and me, plus our usually quiet class monitor who got dragged along last minute. Midnight struck. The sky was pitch black as candles flickered to life. In the 30 seconds of silence after the birthday song ended, I finished making my wish and quietly opened my eyes, only to see Shin-sun and my younger sister locking eyes with each other. Then they exchanged a knowing smile. In the candlelight, Shin-sun's gaze was exceptionally tender. I thought I had nearly forgotten this memory, but the vivid recollection, clear as yesterday, told me I'd remembered all along. Just don't want to face it. I let out a heavy sigh, my hand slowly reaching for the keypad. Please, just don't. I'm begging you, Shin-sun, don't treat our decade together as a joke. My fingers moved stiffly as I typed the numbers. Under my desperate gaze, the door swung open. 7. I stared blankly at the open door. Tears fell onto the floor. A self-deprecating smile tugged at my lips. 8. I stepped into the study. The study was pitch dark with the lights off. I flipped the switch, and the room instantly lit up. The high-wattage bulb banished every shadow, leaving everything exposed before me in stark clarity. The study held no books. Only rows of oil paintings lined the walls. I picked one up. Its surface clearly inscribed, Sibling, my younger sister. Every object in the room spoke of her. Even the walls were cherry blossom pink, delicate, yet beautiful. I stared at it all in despair, like a lost stray animal with no idea where to go or what to do. Hysterical, perhaps, but Shin-sun is already dead. Crushed, but Shin-sun is already dead. It suddenly hit me. Nothing I do makes any difference. Hating him or loving him makes no difference. 9. The study faces the rising sun. Now I understand why Shin-sun is never by my side when I wake each morning. At the far end of the room stands a desk and chair set. I walked slowly forward. Each step felt numb and agonizing. A notebook lay on the desk. Its pages were densely filled, chronicling everything since I was 15, his unspoken feelings for Sibling. Every word brimming with tenderness. I flipped through the pages, stopping at the very last one. It read, if one day you were to leave me behind, I'd rush to you through fire and flood. Not even life nor death could tear us apart. Boom, thunder roars across the heavens. The rain poured down in torrents. So that's how it is. His suicide wasn't caused by depression. It was a love suicide. 10. I posted this anonymously online, hoping netizens could suggest solutions, but they ignored my cry for help. Instead, the comments were filled with, OMG, what a tragic yet beautiful love story. This is like watching an angel fall from grace for love. Honestly, OP should have let them be together back then. What a waste of such a perfect couple. Second this. I scrolled through the screen, watching netizens cheer for this love story, sighing over their tragic ending. Then what about me? If only he'd loved Sibling back then, why didn't you push me away? If theirs is the greatest love story ever told, then what am I? I powered off my phone, opened the window, and flung it out. Watching the phone shatter into pieces, I finally understood my place. I'm nothing at all. I'm just a clown. 11. The funeral begins. I watched as the pitch-black coffin slowly descended into the earth. Just as they were about to finish filling the grave, I suddenly opened my handbag and pulled out a letter. Then I lit the lighter and burned the envelope. The letter paper burned in midair, fluttering like a fiery butterfly. It was the only thing in the study that truly belonged to me. A love letter from when I was 15, but not because of my genuine feelings. It was because Sibling had drawn a little pig on it with a note. So cringe. Her love letter is disgustingly mushy. Can't even use idioms right. I'm dying of laughter. Shin-sun returned her smile, petite and adorable. I've never seen it before. 12. The funeral concluded as guests departed. Reporters completely blocked the road. Camera flashes kept blinding me. Are the online rumors about your sister and husband true? What is it? I was still processing everything. An insider online claimed it was your interference in your sister's relationship with Shin-sun that drove them apart and ultimately led to the tragedy. The crowd erupted in murmurs. No wonder they've been childless all these years. So that's why. What a cruel fate for such a perfect couple. Alas, when the reporter couldn't get anything out of me, they turned to question my mother-in-law instead. I shook my head slightly. Looking at my mother-in-law, hoping she wouldn't say it. At home, I can be however I want. But at least save me some face in front of others. But my mother-in-law sighed and said, if only it hadn't been you who married Sinner back then. All these years of desperately clinging to this marriage, crumbled to dust in an instant. I become nothing but a pathetic joke. 13. Under the relentless camera flashes, my humiliation kept magnifying, amplifying endlessly, like a filthy sewer rat. Those 30 seconds fleeing from the crowd to the car, I regretted everything. How I wish I could rewind to 15, to remain strangers with Shin-sun. I refused to wait for him to grow up any longer. Boom, the Bentley collided with another car in the rain-lashed night, the windshield shattered into pieces, razor-sharp glass slicing into my skin. In those final moments, I saw a blinding white light drawing me toward it. 14. Suning. Stand up and answer this question. A sharp noise shattered the silence. I tried moving my hand. My arm had gone completely numb. What? School day muscle memory made me instinctively stand up to answer. The class erupted in laughter. Ha ha ha. Suning. Still half asleep are you? Quiet, quiet. The teacher rapped the chalkboard and pointed at the problem. You answer this one, get it wrong, and you'll be standing for the rest of the class. I stared at the dense cluster of equations, had no clue how to respond. Someone in front stifled a snicker. It's my sister, and seated beside her was none other than Shin-sun, in our past life, the man who died with her, my husband. I saw her flash an innocent smile and say to Shin-sun in a perfectly audible voice, how could she be so dense? Shin-sun propped his chin on his hand, gazing at her with undisguised adoration. Then he curled his lips slightly and drawled, yeah, I couldn't breathe. At 26, I once asked Shin-sun if he still loved Suing. If he did, I'd step aside and let them be together. Shin-sun lit a cigarette, took a drag, and said flatly, let us be together. What exactly would that achieve? Su-ying's already married. Suning, if I truly loved her, I should have crashed that wedding. I was beaming with joy, like a child who'd finally gotten their candy. Only now do I understand. It was all a lie. Marrying me was just for Su-ying's sake. He doesn't love me. When the teacher saw I couldn't answer, she pointed to my younger sister sitting in front. Suing, please answer for your sister. Suing stood up and said gracefully, this problem can be solved using Newton's second law. The answer is 16n. The teacher adjusted his glasses and said approvingly, well done, very well done. Then he glanced at me and sighed, you're like night and day compared to your sister. Take your seat, Suning, go stand at the back of the classroom. Head bowed. I walked toward the back of the room with my textbook in hand. The entire way, I heard constant snickering. They're supposed to be sisters, but the difference is night and day. I'm tempted to suggest Suing's parents get a paternity test done. If you can't even answer questions like these, you don't belong in the honors class. You're just dragging our average down. I walked past quickly, flustered and embarrassed. 15. After class, I was called into the teacher's office. The teacher pointed at my recent mock exam results and frowned. This won't do, Suning. You need to catch up to your sister's level. She produced another ranking list. Suing and Shin-sun were placed side by side, one ranked second, the other third, while I was stuck at the very bottom. I kept my head down and muttered a half-hearted How about this? I'll find you a tutor to help you out. The teacher said while scrolling through the ranking list, as I watched blankly, in my past life. My tutor was this perpetually annoyed guy. This time around, probably no different. As I was spacing out, the teacher's finger hovered over the top-ranked student. Let's go with this one, Jiang Xian, your back row classmate, she said. I looked up at her with utter disbelief. Jiang Xian. The sweltering summer breeze swept into the office. Impossible to ignore, Jiang Xian. I stood there dumbstruck. Wasn't he Su-ying's schoolyard crush from back in the day? 16. Jiang Xian was our class monitor, an undisputed golden boy blessed by the heavens. Back then, Su-ying threatened to take her own life just to marry Jiang Xian, begging her parents to arrange the marriage. But the Jiang family's wealth and status made our modest lineage beneath their notice. The rejection was inevitable. In the end, Su-ying relented and married the heir of a conglomerate instead. After attending my wedding with Shin-sun, Jiang Xian went abroad for further studies. We never heard from him again. 17. I returned to the classroom. Sitting at my desk, I stared at the workbook lying before me. It was covered in formulas I no longer recognized. Memories of my past life came flooding back. I abandoned my studies chasing after Shin-sun, even after pulling strings to get into a prestigious high school. I still ended up at a vocational college. My parents were utterly disappointed in me and completely cut me off after I turned 18. Someone asked them, if you could pull strings to get me into a top provincial high school, why not do the same for college entrance exams? Even studying abroad would be better than some vocational college. They just chuckled and said, raising a child is like making an investment. Why would we waste more resources on Suning? She'll never measure up to Ying. Once you're an adult, if you die out there recklessly, it's none of our business anymore. I gazed out the window, let out a heavy sigh. This lifetime, I don't want to have any more regrets. I want a better future, a future of freedom. 18. Jiang Xian recently took some time off. None of my classmates would help me with the problems. They'd say dismissively, even if I explain, you won't get it. Waste of time, left with no choice. I buried myself in memorizing physics formulas at my desk. A passing classmate glanced at me and sneered, trying to make a comeback right before exams. Where was this effort earlier? The student beside her tugged at her sleeve. After looking at Suing and Shinsun working on math problems ahead, then back at me, they said, she must be busy chasing after someone who's completely ignoring her. Hilarious. I tried to focus my attention on the equations. Then I felt someone's gaze and looked up, accidentally meeting Shinsun's eyes. At 16. His face still carried youthful softness, dressed in blue and white school uniforms, brimming with youthful energy, yet the look directed at me was dripping with disdain, as if staring at some revolting insect. Oh, don't say such things, Suing said gently. Everyone deserves the right to try. The two classmates who had mocked me immediately changed their expressions. They flashed friendly smiles at Suing. Suing, you're just too kind. It'll get you into trouble someday. I immediately lowered my head, not because of those veiled sarcastic remarks, but because the scenery before me had blurred. I remembered being 16 in my past life. Shinsun tutored me. In the sweltering midsummer, he patiently explained those complex problems to me again and again. Sunlight danced through his hair. 16-year-old Shinsun seemed to glow with radiance. Now, that light appears to have faded. 19. 3 months left until the high school entrance exam. 2 weeks to go before the second mock exam. I'm struggling to catch up on missed lessons. Complex physics formulas, mind-boggling math problems, endless chemical reactions to memorize, mountains of essay materials, classical poems, and ancient texts. Everything felt like terrifying roadblocks standing between me and success, yet I couldn't seem to avoid them. Just when I was at my wit's end, Jiangxian returned. He first looked down at me condescendingly, then gently pulled out the test paper I was working on. The red crosses on it were particularly glaring, yet he showed no trace of disdain. There's an easier way. He tapped the paper, casually picked up my red pen, and effortlessly wrote out 3 different solutions. Just plug the numbers into the formula, no need to overcomplicate it. He glanced up at me. Got it. I stared blankly back at him. Jiangxian wore glasses. The sapphire stud in his left ear glinted brilliantly in the sunlight. Her lashes fluttered like a trembling butterfly's wings. I still don't understand, I admitted sheepishly. Jiangxian lowered his gaze and said, fine, I'll explain it again. Suing, sitting in front, suddenly turned around, smiling at him. She said, Jiangxian, I'm stuck on a problem too. Could you walk me through it? Jiangxian adjusted his glasses and said slowly, sorry, I'm busy. Suing smiled, her expression sweet and innocent. Then I'll wait until you're free to tell me. When will you be available? Jiangxian said nonchalantly, when I'm reincarnated as a pig in my next life. I smiled for the first time since my rebirth. 20. The news of Jiangxian tutoring me spread like wildfire through our grade. Everyone was shocked that an academic ace like Jiangxian would actually tutor someone. Then, jealousy. How cunning of Suning to play the victim and get the teacher to assign Jiangxian as her tutor. Right, I wouldn't say this about anyone else. But Suning's intelligence, tisk, utterly hopeless. Jiangxian will probably get fed up with her in a few days. She's really so clueless. I've heard variations of this speech 100 times, yet never once did I lift my head from this sea of problems. Not even once. 21. I sat at my desk, gnawing on my pen, wrestling with a particularly stubborn problem. Jiangxian got called away for another physics competition. Still nobody's willing to explain these problems to me. Just as I was about to check my study guide, someone suddenly knocked on my desk. I looked up to meet the person's chilling gaze. It's Shinsun, Suning. The teacher asked me to switch with Jiangxian. Switch what? I asked with a frown. Shinsun said, little tutor, it's not like listening would do you any good anyway, right? Might as well let Suing have it. They tutor each other. It'll help them secure more recommendation quotas. I froze. If having a crush on someone could be measured, it'd feel like 10,000 butterflies fluttering in your lungs, vibrating, ceaselessly vibrating, until a mighty storm sweeps across Texas. That moment when disappointment strikes, every fiber of your being burns with anguish. After the fire, even the heart turns to ashes. No revival remains. It was the first time I'd looked Shinsun straight in the eyes. My eyes grew misty. A lump formed in my throat. I said, Shinsun. It's not just Suing who wants to get into a good university. I want that too. 22. I bolted out of the classroom. Shinsun was left standing there alone, frozen in place. What's wrong with Suning? She ran off so fast. Was she crying? One of the girls asked. Another girl shot her a disapproving look. So what if she cried? Want me to give her a trophy or something? What kind? An Oscar? The group burst into laughter. Shinsun kept his head down and suddenly roared, enough. The classroom instantly fell dead silent. 23. I rushed into the restroom. In the cramped stall, I wiped my tears haphazardly with my sleeve. After drying my face, I pulled out my vocabulary notebook. Chemistry, chemistry. I sniffled. Chemistry. 3 days left until the second mock exam. I must win this. 24. The second mock exam is finally over. Jiangxian's competition results were also announced. First place, secured a provincial-level direct admission spot. I congratulated him with a smile. Congrats, no more exams for you. Yet he just looked at me calmly. Then he spoke calmly. Are you aiming for the provincial key high school? I replied sheepishly. Of course I want to, but it's probably out of reach. Why? I don't believe in myself, I said slowly. I feel lost about the future. As summer approached, the sunlight outside the window grew increasingly radiant. I gazed at the dappled shadows of trees outside the window, where boys were playing basketball below. Cheers filled the entire campus. Well said, rather than trusting yourself, it's better to trust fate, Jiangxian suddenly remarked. Since I know a bit about palm reading, would you like me to take a look? I turned back and smiled. Give him your hand. Jiangxian took my hand in his. Studying it intently, his hand was large and warm. He stared for a long time. I couldn't help but ask, Master Jiang, did you notice something? Only then did Jiangxian raise his head. With a wild grin, he pointed at the lines on my palm with his index finger. It says you'll not only get into the provincial key school, but also University A, every wish fulfilled, a perfect life. I almost laughed at his nonsense. Then I saw the sincerity in his eyes, as if this wasn't meant to be my destiny. It was his promise. 25. The mock exam results are out. I'm still at the bottom. I stood frozen before the ranking list, my heart sinking like a stone. I'm shivering all over. Why does hard work still go unrewarded? My fists clenched as I struggled to breathe. A classmate nearby couldn't resist sneering. Think you're some kind of genius. Dream on, Miss Sue. If you can't cut it, just drop out. With grades like these, high school's pointless anyway. Might as well get married young. I kept my head down, staring at the tips of my shoes. Tears fell, then splattered against the tiled floor and vanished. Don't talk about my sister like that. Suing tugged at her classmate's sleeve. She's been working so hard, staying up late every night. The classmate glanced at the ranking list and smiled. Suing, you're always the most down-to-earth one. Congrats, you've improved again. Maybe you'll get recommended for admission together with Jiangxian. Suing flashed a sweet smile. Thank you. Before leaving, the classmate added, honestly, you and Jiangxian make such a perfect match, just like the main couple in a campus romance novel. Suing didn't argue back. Instead, she blushed even more shyly. Their classmates immediately started teasing them. I slowly stepped out of the classroom, like a filthy rat, spotted by its owner. It fled in panic. 26. I retreated into the restroom again. Once again, I brought my vocabulary notebook with me. Tears kept welling up in my eyes and falling onto the notebook. The letters gradually blurred into smudges. I finally broke down, curling up and sobbing. After crying, I washed my face. Then I returned to the classroom, only to bump into Jiangxian at the corner. He was panting heavily, his face flushed, glasses removed, hair still slightly disheveled. He said, Suning, congratulations. I froze. What is it? There was a system error. 3 subjects weren't added to your total. He tilted his head, smiling at me. So congratulations, you're actually 10th. My eyes widened in surprise. 27. So Jiangxian kept disappearing after class to confront the teacher. He believed in me. Believe me, my efforts are far from empty threats. Even the tiniest bit of progress is more than enough. Yet the teacher simply wouldn't believe it. It wasn't until he contacted the Jiang family that the matter was resolved, finally revealing the truth to me. I was sobbing uncontrollably. Thank you, I said, really, thank you. 28. I'll work even harder. I want good grades and a bright future. Even when my parents mock me for being just top 10 in class, couldn't even reach the threshold for provincial key schools, yet I kept burning the midnight oil. 29. Finally triumphed in the high school entrance exam. I got admitted to the provincial key high school. The family was toasting in celebration, but not for me. It was for Suing. My parents even threw an admission banquet in her honor. So that's how it is. I wasn't abandoned because I'm worthless. They simply didn't love me. I watched Suing being doted on by her parents, surrounded by flowers and applause. Even Shinsun worked odd jobs for months just for her, all for a bouquet of 99 Australian white roses. With tender eyes, he presented the flowers to her. The crowd erupted in playful cheers. Suing accepted them with a bashful grace. I lowered my head, unable to suppress a mocking smile. In my past life, when Shinsun and I got married, I agonized over choosing the perfect bouquet flowers. Upon learning this, Shinsun merely said indifferently, white roses. I asked him why, but he remained silent. I stubbornly believed he meant to tell me the meaning of white roses, pure and flawless love. Only now do I realize it was truly because of the flower's meaning. But the person you wanted to tell wasn't me. Standing in the corner, I silently raised my glass. To you all. To youth. Here's to my foolish past life. The liquor burned my throat as I resolved to let go completely. Shinsun suddenly turned to look at me. We locked eyes for what felt like an eternity. His gaze was no longer as indifferent as before. Instead, it was filled with panic, as if he had lost something utterly precious. 30. Shinsun, what are you looking at? Suing asked him sweetly. Shinsun turned around, his heart pounding like thunder. /I. He lowered his head with a faint smile. It's nothing. Probably just lost something in my hurry to get here. Does it really matter? He remained silent for a long while. Maybe. His unease grew by the minute. Must have been something important. Many years later, Shinsun recalled that celebratory afternoon with raised glasses. Suing stood on stage in her little white dress, radiant as the sun, her cheeks flushed pink as she thanked him for the white roses. Yet for some reason, he turned away. His gaze drifted toward a shadowy corner of the audience. Suning stood there, watching him calmly. They gazed at each other. Because of Suing, he averted his eyes. He looked back again. She's no longer there. It was the greatest regret of his life. 31. Love is fire. To be loved is to be seen in light. In my past life, I spent my entire existence chasing love. But this lifetime, I'm weary. All I want now is freedom. In the boundless night, let me be my own light. No need for 1,000 lamps. A single flame will suffice. 32. In high school, I studied even harder. With each sprint and every refinement, my academic performance shone brighter. During the second semester of 11th grade, I made the top 5 in my year for the first time. The teacher gave me special recognition. Everyone should learn from classmate Suning. The room fell completely silent. I sat nervously in my seat, frozen with panic. I thought they'd laugh at me just like my junior high classmates did, but then, after a moment of silence, came thunderous applause and cheers. Holy shit, that's fucking amazing. From the bottom of the class to the top, that takes insane determination. Damn impressive. This makes me ashamed to slack off. Holy shit, Suning's a legend. The applause went on and on. My eyes widened in shock as I looked up. The teacher stood at the podium, smiling at me. We've all seen how hard you've worked, she said. Suning, you're truly amazing. My eyes welled up with tears. After class, a classmate came to ask me for help, just like I used to be. They were incredibly nervous, terrified of being turned down, and pretended to understand to save face. I patiently explained it to him over and over again, just like how Jiang Xian once treated me. 33. I know all too well how dark and unfathomable this world can be, yet I shall still raise a torch to light up this corner of the world with all my might. I believe this flame will keep passing on, until the night itself catches fire. The world was bathed in brilliant light, life awakened under the scorching sun. 34. In senior year, Shinsun unexpectedly came looking for me. He looked pale with dark circles under his eyes. I gazed at him calmly. Can I help you? I asked. Then he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Ning. His voice quivered. You did have feelings for me, didn't you? I frowned and took several steps backward. Ning, that nickname, only Shinsun from my past life ever called me that, but only between the sheets. I'm utterly disgusted, wrenched my hand free from his grasp. Don't call me that, I said. It makes me sick. His hand hung in midair. Then, it slowly dropped. I turned to leave immediately. Shinsun said to me with reddened eyes, could you give me one more chance? I stopped in my tracks. Look back at him, in the dim alley. Shinsun called my name hoarsely from the darkness. Please, give me one more chance. Love me one more time. Like a caged beast, I knew he had been reborn too. 35. I never asked why he chose to die for love in our past life. Why did you marry me when you never loved me? Why did you abandon me? So many whys left unanswered. Those 10 years I loved him were shrouded in mist, so much that all I could do was sigh. But in the end, I asked nothing, simply looking at him with quiet acceptance. I said, Shinsun, I won't love you anymore. Never again. Shinsun's gaze shattered. Those beautiful peach blossom eyes finally lost their spark, never to regain their youthful glow. Boom. Thunder rumbled across the heavens. The rain began to fall. I pulled an umbrella from my bag, opened it, and strode out of the alley without looking back. Chilly raindrops drummed against the umbrella. Tick-tock. It's pouring. Suddenly I remembered that day in my past life when I was sorting through Shinsun's belongings. The rain was just as heavy then. The pitch-black rainy night stretched endlessly, leaving my nostrils and lungs perpetually damp. But in this lifetime, I took a deep breath, and smiled. There will never be another rainy night like that in my life. Goodbye, Shin-sun, you were my sunshine, but now, I'll be my own light. 36. I thought that was the last time I'd ever see Shin-sun, until the next morning. When I found breakfast tucked inside my desk, there are still a few imported chocolate bars left. My classmates told me with a laugh, Suning, you lucky dog, fancy getting noticed by the campus heartthrob Shindaji. I frowned, flipped the breakfast straight into the trash can. I'll go, a male classmate exclaimed. What a waste, Suning, you could have shared it with us if you didn't want it. I stared at the breakfast in the trash bin, asked him, should I go pick it back up? The male classmate's lips twitched. Never mind. That's no different from a dog. I just smiled. Word about me throwing away Shin-sun's breakfast spread across campus like wildfire. In the monotonous grind of high school life, juicy gossip like this was irresistible, but it was different from when Jiang Xian used to explain problems to me. This time, no one scolded me, like some passing joke. The whole matter was just brushed aside. During this time, Suing came to see me. Her eyes were red-rimmed, looking utterly pitiful. She confronted me. Why did you throw away Shin-sun's breakfast? Do you have any idea how much you've hurt him? Flipping through my physics notes, I replied indifferently, no idea, and don't want to know. /you. Suing slammed the table as she stood up. She pointed at my face, about to say more when my classmate beside me cut her off. My classmate said flatly, Suing, that breakfast was Shin-sun's gift to Suning. It's her call what to do with it. The person involved isn't even upset. Why are you getting worked up? Suing was left speechless. She glared at me furiously, then, with a cold laugh, she said, you'll never measure up to me. The student who came to ask questions adjusted his glasses and asked in confusion, measure what? Specific heat capacity. Suing, glancing at his watch again, he said, are you done with your questions? Kid, if so, hurry back to your own class and stop hogging the seat. The classroom erupted in laughter. Suing stormed off in anger. 37. Shin-sun kept bringing me breakfast with undiminished enthusiasm, until the second month, Jiang Xian returned. He glanced at the breakfast on my desk with a complicated look in his eyes. Since then, breakfast never appeared on my desk again. The second week without breakfast, Shin-sun cornered me again. What exactly is your relationship with Jiang Xian? He asked. I shot him a glance. You've no right to question me, I said. Anguish flickered across Shin-sun's face, just as I turned to leave. He grabbed the hem of my shirt. Don't do this to me, he pleaded. His voice trembled, fragile as glass, like a stray dog, yet I felt no pity. I pried his hand off mercilessly. Shin-sun, I said, we're practically strangers now. You've crossed the line. He looked up at me with utter disbelief. You promised to love me forever. His voice cracked. In our past life, you said I do before the officiant. I replied coldly, so what? Shin-sun, you too once said I do. We made vows before God. Prayed for blessings at the marriage altar. And you swore you'd love only me, but, I smiled bitterly, you still chose to die with Suing, didn't you? Shin-sun froze. I walked toward the exit. Let's not meet again. Yet there at the exit stood Jiang Xian. He lounged in the Maybach, lazily resting one arm on the car window. A slender hand with faint blue veins held a thin cigarette. I froze. The footsteps gradually slowed. Get in, Jiang Xian said. I quickly snapped out of it, opened the car door, and got in. Shin-sun immediately gave chase. He banged on the already raised window and demanded, what exactly is your relationship? Jiang Xian cracked the car window open slightly. His eyes burned with icy hostility. None of your business. Watching Shin-sun still pestering him relentlessly outside the car, I've made a decision. I leaned into Jiang Xian and planted a staged kiss on him right in front of Shin-sun. 38. The clouds parted as sunlight spilled across the land. Shin-sun kept pounding on the car window, trying to stop us. Jiang Xian gripped my chin instead, deepening the kiss. The lingering scent of cigarettes hung in the car, yet it wasn't unpleasant. Instead, there was a delicate floral fragrance in the air. I didn't push him away. 39. I never saw Shin-sun again after that. Just 2 months before the college entrance exams, Suing confessed her feelings to Jiang Xian. After being rejected, she tearfully asked him, why is it okay for my sister, but not for me? I watched her cry with cold detachment. Teardrops fell one by one onto the ground. Not a ripple of emotion stirred within me. Jiang Xian said flatly, roses aren't the only exception, neither are lemons. Hearing this, I smiled faintly with my head lowered. 40. After being rejected by Suing, she turned her attention to Shin-sun. She started pursuing Shin-sun instead. The whole school was buzzing about it. In the end, Shin-sun turned her down. I was working on a physics problem when I heard the news. The pen in my hand kept moving. Just like always, 1 month before the college entrance exams, my parents called in a hurry. Sibling was diagnosed with schizophrenia. She was acting hysterically, accusing everyone. Why? Why don't you love me anymore? Was all that kindness in my past life just a lie? Mom was sobbing uncontrollably on the other end of the line. She's your little sister. Just humor her. Her sobs were wrenching, yet left me numb. Humor her how? What exactly am I supposed to do? I asked. The sweltering summer approached. The sunset outside the dorm was breathtakingly radiant. I lowered my gaze and said quietly, treating love as life's sole purpose only binds you in self-made chains. Hanging up the phone, I return to my studies. A gentle breeze drifts in. It scatters the pages on my desk. I write the final character, cap my pen, and look up. Suddenly I remember. In my past life, I pursued love with the same relentless devotion. Never having been loved makes the longing unbearable, so much so that I lost myself. Learning Shin's son had secretly loved Sibling for 10 years shattered me. I can't help but feel sorry for Sibling. We fell into the world's thorny snare, mistaking those obsessions for love. We're all cowards shackled by love. 41, June 8, 5 in the afternoon. I closed my pen and took a deep breath. The bell rang. The gaokao is finally over. 10 minutes later, examinees came sprinting out the school gates. The golden sunlight was just right that day. With a gentle breeze in the air, we dashed toward the sunlight, running for our glorious escape. 42, at the school gate, Jiang Xian stood holding a bouquet of flowers. Sunlight spilled over him, dazzlingly radiant, like the edge of a dream. I chuckled. Must be nice being a pre-admitted student. Then I took the bouquet. Hydrangeas, may your future be as splendid as brocade, he said. I looked up at him with absolute seriousness. Without a doubt. 43, to everyone's surprise, Shinsun didn't take the college entrance exams. He overdosed on sleeping pills and turned on the gas at home, attempted suicide, but failed. Upon hearing this, I went to see him for the first time on my own initiative. In the hospital, he lay on the bed, pale and gaunt, looking exceptionally fragile. Seeing me approach, he forced an ingratiating smile. You're here, I asked coldly. Why did you try to kill yourself? Shinsun lowered his gaze. I need to tell you, he said. Don't give up on me. I'd die for you. Slap, shoving past the protesting nurses. I rushed forward and struck him repeatedly across the face. A mist gradually clouded Shinsun's lifeless eyes. In your eyes, is life really that worthless? I grabbed him by the collar and snapped. What's the point of dying for someone? Living for someone is the real honor. A gentle breeze lifted the blue hospital curtains. Shinsun stared at me in stunned silence. I won't be coming to see you again, I said to him before leaving. Goodbye. The hospital room door slowly closed. That was the last time we saw each other. 44. The college entrance exam results are out. Jiang Xian was even more nervous than me. After logging into the score inquiry page, he clasped his hands and bowed to the computer. I chuckled. Since when did you become so superstitious? Jiang Xian said. I've always been superstitious. Come to think of it, that's true. I remember back in middle school, he even read my palm. Time's up. Jiang Xian held my hand solemnly, as if performing some kind of ritual. I asked what he was up to. His eyes crinkled with laughter. Transferring my good luck to you. What if I want all your good fortune? Of course it's for you too. I laughed too. My heart felt like soft cotton. Finally, we clicked the search button together. Jiang Xian looked at the scores and said, Suning, you're truly amazing. My eyes gradually welled up with tears. I said, of course I'm amazing. Then added, Jiang Xian, what is it? Jiang Xian gave a quiet in response. 45. Many years later, I've gained friends closer than family. An elderly lady even took me in as her granddaughter. I started sponsoring underprivileged girls' education. They were all given a second chance at life. Time shines brilliantly. Life is small yet magnificent. The end. Story 2. The Shin family had only one male heir for 7 generations, and Shin Zhao was frail and unlikely to father children. Shin's father spent a fortune to marry me as his daughter-in-law, solely because I possessed the rare fertility saint body. After marriage, Shin Zhao's health improved, and I became pregnant without difficulty. Overjoyed, Shin's father promised me 10% of the family shares. On the night of the victory celebration, Shin Zhao, fueled by alcohol, kicked me square in the stomach. You vile woman. His eyes burned with hatred. If it weren't for your scheming, how could Su Ruoheng have married the wrong man and been beaten to death? I collapsed in a pool of blood, my eyes wide open in death. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day Shin's father came to propose marriage. Looking at the elegant and composed Shin Nanlang before me, I smiled lightly and spoke. Mr. Shin, rather than pinning your hopes on your sickly son to carry on the family line, how about I marry you and bear you a few healthy heirs? Excruciating pain exploded from my abdomen, like a sharp knife violently churning inside me. I curled up on the expensive Persian rug in the Shin family villa, desperately protecting my belly with both hands, yet unable to block the relentless kicks. "You bitch, this is all your fault." Shin Zhao's drunken voice came from above me, accompanied by another wave of excruciating pain. Blood gushed out from beneath me, staining the light-colored carpet crimson. I could feel life slowly draining away, along with the 3-month-old little life inside my womb. "If it weren't for you swindling and colluding with others to claim you were a fertility goddess, my father wouldn't have forced me to marry an old woman like you, and Su Ruoheng wouldn't have married the wrong person and ended up beaten to death." Shin Zhao's voice was filled with twisted hatred. My vision began to blur as my consciousness gradually scattered. "So that's how it is. So he's always hated me." The Shin family had only one male heir for 7 generations. Shin Zhao was frail and sickly since childhood, with a constitution prone to fertility difficulties. The Shin family searched everywhere for a woman with excellent fertility, until they found me, what doctors called a naturally blessed womb. The Shin family welcomed me with a lavish bride price. After marrying me, Shin Zhao's health indeed gradually improved, and I successfully became pregnant. Father Shin Nanlang was overjoyed, even promising to give me 10% of the company's shares. Yet all of this became my sin in Shin Zhao's eyes. I opened my mouth, wanting to say something, but only coughed up a mouthful of blood. Darkness surged like a tide, and in my final moments of consciousness, I swore that if there was a next life, man, Mr. Shin has already arrived. Why are you still spacing out? My mother's voice pulled me back from the chaos. I suddenly opened my eyes and found myself sitting in the living room at home, with a steaming cup of tea in front of me. The sunlight outside was bright, shining on my unharmed body. "Is this, 1 year ago, Mr. Shin has come this time to propose marriage on behalf of his son Shin Zhao," Mother whispered to me, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "The Shin family, now that's true aristocracy." My heart pounded wildly as my fingers unconsciously brushed over my flat abdomen. I've been reborn. I've truly been reborn, back to the very day Shin Nanlang first came to propose marriage. Looking up towards the doorway, a tall and straight middle-aged man was stepping inside. Shin Nanlang, 45 years old yet well-maintained, exuded the charm of a mature man in every gesture. He wore a tailored dark gray suit, with deep-set facial features and sharp yet gentle eyes. "Miss Jiang, I've long heard of you." He nodded in greeting, his voice deep and pleasant. "In my past life." I shyly lowered my head and joyfully accepted the arrangement to marry Shin Zhao. But now, I gazed directly at this man who dominates the business world, suddenly flashing a radiant smile. "Mr. Shin, please have a seat." I gesture gracefully, then meet his eyes after he sits down. "I heard your son is in poor health, and the Shin family urgently needs an heir." Shin Nanlang slightly furrows his brows, seemingly surprised by my directness. "My son indeed requires a wife blessed with good fortune." I let out a light chuckle, picking up the teacup to take a sip. "Mr. Shin, rather than pinning your hopes of continuing the family line on your sickly son," I deliberately paused, meeting his gaze. "Why don't I marry you instead and bear you several sons?" With a clatter, the teapot in Mother's hands fell to the ground. Shin Nanlang's expression froze, his eyes flashing with shock, bewilderment, followed by deep contemplation. I maintained a smile, knowing my words would detonate like a bomb in the heart of this aristocratic family head with deeply ingrained traditional values. Memories from my past life told me that Shin Nanlang had remained unmarried for years after losing his spouse, not due to lack of desire, but for the sake of family reputation. And now, I could see the flames gradually igniting in his eyes, the longing for an heir, the yearning for youthful vitality, and his stirring interest in my bold proposal. "Miss Jiang, are you serious about this?" His voice carried a hint of hoarseness. "I'm 28 years old and in excellent health. The doctor said I have a rare fertility-friendly constitution," I stated frankly. "Rather than marrying a sickly man who might be completely infertile, I'd rather become your wife directly and bear you healthy heirs." Shin Nanlang's eyes lit up as he scrutinized me carefully, as if appraising a precious collectible. I knew victory was within my grasp. "In my past life, the doctor said my constitution not only makes conception easy but also nourishes my partner better than any tonic." For Shin Nanlang, who yearns for heirs and whose health is declining, this was an irresistible temptation. "Dad, what are you doing?" An angry voice came from the doorway. I turned to see Shin Zhao standing at the door, pale-faced with disbelief in his eyes. He looked even frilier than remembered, as if a gust of wind could knock him over. How could my past self have thought such a man was worth entrusting my life to? "She's my fiancé," Shin Zhao burst in, but a single glance from Shin Nanlang pinned him in place. "From today onward, she is your mother." Shin Nanlang's voice brooked no argument. "Miss Jiang is right. The Shin family needs healthy heirs. watching Shin Zhao's contorted expression. A surge of satisfaction welled up in my heart. The game has only just begun, Shin Zhao. The pain you inflicted on me in our past life, I'll return it 100-fold in this one. That very afternoon, I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Shin Nanlang. The moment the marriage certificate was in my hands, I knew the gears of fate had turned in a completely different direction. On the first day I moved into the Shin family villa, I summoned the butler to the study. Butler Lin, in his early 50s, had worked for the Shin family for nearly 20 years, his gaze carrying a barely concealed disdain when looking at me. In my past life when I married Shin Zhao, he caused me no small amount of trouble. Butler Lin, starting today, I want to review all staff schedules and payrolls every Monday. Sitting in my leather swivel chair, I tap the desk lightly with my fingertips. Also, compile the detailed household expenses for the past 6 months. I need to review them. Butler Lin's brows furrowed almost imperceptibly. Madam, these matters have always been under my responsibility. The master never concerned himself with such trivial affairs. I smiled faintly. Now I'm managing the household. Is there a problem with that? I wouldn't dare. He lowered his head, but I saw the corner of his mouth twitch. By the way, I added as he turned away, change the master bedroom sheets to silk. Mr. Shin prefers them. Steward Lin's back stiffened slightly as he bowed in acknowledgement. I knew this news would spread through the Shin household like wildfire. The new mistress not only held authority but had already shared the master's bed. After the butler left, I surveyed the study. In my past life, I was rarely allowed to enter here, but now it has become my center of power. I turned on the computer and pulled up the Shin family's household management system. The password hadn't changed. It was still Shin Zhao's birthday, just like in my past life. Despite Shin Nanlang's stern exterior, he truly doted on his only son. The data on the screen made me raise my eyebrows. Just 1 month's flour expenses alone amounted to 50,000, not to mention those premium wines and ingredients. In my past life, I thought the Shin family was simply this extravagant, but now I realize someone was lining their own pockets. I was just recording the suspicious accounts when the door suddenly swung open. Shin Zhao stood at the door, his face dark and gloomy. What do you want? I didn't look up, continuing to stare at the screen. Did you think marrying my father would give you free rein in the Shin family? His voice was low, laced with threat. Only then did I raise my eyes to look at him. Shin Zhao, knocking is the most basic courtesy. Also, you should call me mom, or at least auntie. His face instantly turned ashen as he strode to the desk, slamming both hands on the surface. Stop dreaming, you're just a purchased breeding machine. I met his gaze calmly. Then what are you? A worthless man who can't even reproduce. Shin Zhao's pupils constricted violently, his right hand raised to strike. I didn't flinch, merely raising my voice. Mr. Shin, your son is about to hit your wife. Shin Zhao's hand froze midair as he turned to look at the doorway. Shin Nanlang stood there at some unknown moment, his face terrifyingly dark. Get out, he said to Shin Zhao, his voice as cold as ice. Shin Zhao withdrew his hand and said through gritted teeth, Dad, she's investigating our family accounts. She must have ulterior motives. I ordered the investigation. Shin Nanlang walked in and stood beside me. Your mother is currently in charge of household affairs. Any problems, mother? Shin Zhao laughed shrilly. She's only 3 years older than me. Shin Nanlang's gaze turned sharp. Age isn't the issue. She's my lawfully wedded wife, which makes her your mother. If I hear any more disrespect from you, I'll freeze your credit cards. Shin Zhao opened his mouth but ultimately said nothing, slamming the door as he left. Don't mind him. Shin Nanlang turned to me. He's been spoiled. I smiled. It's alright. I'll be a good stepmother. Especially when this good stepmother can push him into the fire, I added silently. Shin Nanlang nodded in satisfaction, then asked, any findings from the account check? I've identified several anomalies. Here, and here, the expenditures are significantly higher than market prices. Also, I pointed at the screen, there were 3 large purchases last month, but the household inventory records don't match. Shin Nanlang's gaze turned cold. Steward Lin, don't alert the enemy yet, I said softly. I'll continue investigating to obtain solid evidence. He gave me an appreciative look. You're more capable than I imagined, just doing my duty, I said modestly, then changed the subject. By the way, I've looked into the Su family's background. Su Ruohang is 24 this year, just returned from studying in England, comes from a clean family background, and the marriage alliance with Su Group would also benefit the Shin family, Shin Nanlang said thoughtfully. You're really quite concerned about Shin Zhao's marriage. Of course, I smiled virtuously. Although he doesn't acknowledge me as his mother, I've always treated him as my son. Shin Nanlang mutely grasped my hand. It's rare to find such kindness in your heart. I'll contact the Su family to arrange a meeting. Watching his retreating figure, A cold smirk curled at the corner of my lips. In our past life, Su Ruohang was the white moonlight in Shen Zhao's heart, but this young mistress was spoiled and willful, looking down most on weak and incapable men. Marrying such a woman to Shen Zhao would be more satisfying than any revenge. At dinner time, I changed into a dark green cheongsam, pinned up my hair, and wore the jade earrings Shen Nanlang gave me. The reflection in the mirror showed an elegant and dignified woman, every bit the matriarch of a wealthy family. In the dining room, several close relatives of the Shen family had already taken their seats. Shen Zhao sat in the lower seat, a flicker of disgust flashing through his eyes when he saw me. I pretended not to notice and walked straight to the seat beside Shen Nanlang, the position that only Shen Zhao's mother could occupy in my previous life. I heard the madam is checking the accounts. Shen Zhao's aunt Shenli spoke with sarcasm, eager to seize power so soon after entering the household. I leisurely scooped a spoonful of soup. Auntie, you jest. Sharing a husband's burdens is a wife's duty. I turned to Shen Nanlang. Isn't that right, darling? Shen Nanlang nodded. Man is very capable and has identified some issues. I'll handle this matter. Shen Li's expression changed slightly, not daring to say more. By the way, I suddenly seemed to remember something and turned to Shen Zhao. I've discussed your marriage with your father. Miss Su from the Su family will be visiting this weekend, so prepare yourself. Shen Zhao's fork clattered onto the plate. What? Miss Su Ruohang? Haven't you always admired her? I feigned surprise, or did I remember wrong? Shen Zhao's expression was priceless, first shock, then doubt, finally twisting into a distorted joy. You want me and Ruohang too. The Su family is well matched in social status, and Miss Su is both talented and beautiful. Shen Nanlang chimed in. Your mother's proposal is excellent. At the mention of mother, Shen Zhao's face darkened again, but Su Ruohang's name clearly prevented him from losing his temper. He lowered his head to eat, but the tips of his ears turned red. I took small bites of the foie gras, sneering inwardly. Just wait, Shen Zhao, your dream will soon turn into a nightmare. The weekend arrived quickly. Su Ruohang came to visit accompanied by his parents, too. She was wearing a designer dress and 10-centimeter high heels, with makeup so exquisite it looked like she was ready to walk the red carpet. Hello, Uncle Shen, she called out sweetly as soon as she entered, then paused noticeably upon seeing me. And this is my wife, Jiang Manman. Shen Nanlang introduced. Man, this is Miss Su Ruohang. I smiled and nodded. Miss Su is indeed as beautiful as the rumors say. Su Ruohang forced a smile, but his gaze kept drifting towards Shen Zhao. Shen Zhao had dressed up specially today, but his pale complexion and frail frame appeared diminished next to the towering Shen Nanlang. During the luncheon, Su Ruohang's parents showed great enthusiasm for this marriage arrangement. Though the Su family could be considered wealthy, they still fell short when compared to the Shen clan. Ruohang has been spoiled since childhood, but she has a kind heart, Madame Su said with a smile. She's about the same age as Shen Zhao. They'll surely get along well. I noticed Su Ruohang's smile seemed somewhat forced, when Shen Zhao attentively poured wine for her. She slightly furrowed her brows and subtly shifted her body away. What did Miss Su study in England? I asked at an opportune moment. Art history, she answered with pride in her voice. I particularly love Victorian-era paintings. What a coincidence. Shen Zhao also enjoys art, I said with a smile. He's collected quite a few reproductions of famous paintings. Right, Shen Zhao. Shen Zhao froze for a moment before hurriedly nodding. Why yes, I especially like that, Mona Lisa. Su Ruohang's mouth twitched. That's from the Renaissance period, by Da Vinci. The atmosphere turned awkward for a moment. Shen Zhao flushed red, while the disdain in Su Ruohang's eyes became even more apparent. After the luncheon, while the elders were chatting, I deliberately steered Su Ruohang and Shen Zhao to take a walk in the garden. Through the floor-to-ceiling window, I saw Su Ruohang walking ahead with arms crossed, while Shen Zhao followed step by step like an attendant. It seems they're getting along well, Shen Nanlang remarked with satisfaction. I smiled faintly. Yes, they make a perfect match. A month later, Shen Zhao and Su Ruohang's engagement ceremony was grandly held. As the lady of the Shen household, I handled everything meticulously, from venue decoration to guest lists, leaving no detail unattended. Shen Nanlang grew increasingly reliant on me, even publicly referring to me as his virtuous helpmate. At the engagement banquet, Shen Zhao wore a custom-tailored suit, yet still couldn't carry off that upright demeanor. Su Ruohang was stunning in a white dress, but the reluctance in her eyes was already impossible to conceal. Congratulations, Shen Zhao. His cousin Shen Ming patted his shoulder with a wink. Su Ruohang is famously fiery-tempered. Can you really handle her? Shen Zhao forced a smile. Ruohang is actually very gentle. Really? Shen Ming motioned with his chin toward the distance. Then why has she been chatting so happily with that model all this time? Following his gaze, I saw Su Ruohang laughing and chatting animatedly with a tall, handsome young man, occasionally placing her hand on his arm. Shen Zhao's expression instantly darkened. "I'm going to check it out," he said through gritted teeth. I quietly followed, hiding behind a pillar to observe. Shen Zhao walked over to Su Ruohang's side and whispered something. Su Ruohang frowned. "What's wrong with me chatting with friends? Is it any of your business? But today is our engagement day." Shen Zhao's voice carried a pleading tone. "So what?" Su Ruohang sneered. "Should I kneel down and thank you for your great favor?" She deliberately raised her voice. "If it weren't for my father forcing me, who would want to marry a sickly weakling like you?" Shen Zhao stood frozen in place as if struck by lightning. Su Ruohang walked off arm in arm with that model, leaving without a second glance. I appeared at just the right moment, pretending to have just passed by. "Shen Zhao, what's wrong? You look so pale." He suddenly turned to me, his eyes filled with resentment. "Are you satisfied now? Is this the wonderful marriage you found for me?" I put on an innocent face. "What's wrong? Doesn't Miss Su like you very much?" "Like," Shen Zhao sneered. "She looks down on me completely. It's all your fault. You did this on purpose, Shen Zhao." Shen Nanling's voice came from behind. "Mind your manners." Shen Zhao closed his mouth, but the fury in his eyes was almost palpable. I held Shen Nanling's arm and whispered, "The child might be too nervous. After all, it's their first engagement." Shen Nanling patted my hand and said, "You're always so understanding." That evening, the Shen family held a small family banquet to celebrate the engagement. Shen Zhao excused himself from attending due to discomfort, while Su Ruohang did show up but remained absent-minded throughout, constantly checking his phone. I heard Shen Zhao has always been in poor health. Su Ruohang suddenly asked during the meal, "What exactly is the issue?" The dining table fell silent. Shen Nanling set down his wine glass. "He's just somewhat frail. Proper rest will help him recover." "Is that so?" Su Ruohang raised an eyebrow. "Then why did my friend say he has long-term medical records at Rinha Hospital, and that he—" She suddenly stopped, as if realizing she'd said too much. Shen Nanling's gaze turned sharp. "Who is this friend of yours?" Su Ruohang flustered. "Just a friend who studies medicine." I mediated at the right moment. "Miss Su is just concerned about Shen Zhao. Here, try this lobster, flown in fresh from Australia this morning." After the dinner, Shen Nanling summoned me to the study. Su Ruohang isn't simple. She's investigating Shen Zhao. It's normal for young people to get to know each other before marriage. I poured him a cup of tea. Shen Nanling shook his head. "It's not that simple. I suspect she has ulterior motives." He pondered for a moment. "But what's done is done. The engagement can't be cancelled. The Shen family can't afford to lose face." I secretly rejoiced in my heart. This is exactly what I wanted, a marriage full of suspicion and resentment. By the way, Shen Nanling suddenly changed the subject. "How have you been feeling lately? Any particular reactions?" I knew what he was asking. "Since getting married, we've hardly taken any contraceptive measures. In my past life, I became pregnant within 3 months of marrying Shen Zhao. This lifetime should be similar. No signs yet." I touched my flat abdomen. "But the doctor said my constitution makes conception easy. It shouldn't take long." A glimmer of anticipation flashed in Shen Nanling's eyes. "Just name any nourishing supplements you need. I'll have them prepared. You're so good to me." I leaned against his shoulder, concealing the coldness in my eyes. The next morning, I deliberately ran into Shen Zhao when he woke up. He had dark circles under his eyes, clearly having stayed up all night. "Shen Zhao, why didn't you come for dinner last night?" I asked with concern. "Are you feeling unwell?" He looked at me coldly. "Stop pretending. I know you orchestrated all this." I blinked. "Design what? Ruhing never wanted to marry me," he growled in a low voice. "You knew all along, didn't you?" I sighed. "Shen Zhao, marriage is a matter of parental orders and matchmakers' words. Miss Su might need time to adjust, but feelings can develop." I deliberately paused. "Or perhaps, you wish to follow your father's example and marry a wife 17 years your junior." Shen Zhao's face turned livid. His fists clenched audibly. "One day, I'll make you regret this. Jiang Manman, mind your tone, son." I smiled. "Don't forget, I'm your mother now." Watching his furious retreating figure, my mood soared. "This is just the beginning, Shen Zhao. Every ounce of pain you inflicted on me in our past life, I'll return to you bit by bit." Returning to the bedroom, I stood before the full-length mirror and gently touched my abdomen. "Soon, very soon there will be good news. When that time comes, Shen Zhao's status in the Shen family will plummet, and only then can my revenge plan truly unfold." The morning sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains into the bedroom. I opened my eyes to find Shen Nanling already up and gone from beside me. Reaching for the thermometer on the nightstand, I habitually began monitoring my basal body temperature, a crucial indicator for conception. The thermometer shows 36.7 degrees, 0.3 degrees higher than yesterday. The corners of my mouth involuntarily turned upward, based on past experience. This is a sign that ovulation is approaching. Rolling out of bed, I took the prenatal nutrition pills from the drawer and swallowed them with warm water. In the mirror, my complexion looked rosy, my skin smooth. My 28-year-old body is at the optimal age for childbearing. I gently caressed my flat belly, imagining the new life that will soon grow within. In my past life, I only carried one child before Shin Zhao killed me. In this life, I will make the Shin family change completely. My phone vibrates, a message from the private investigator. Targets recent activity records and medical files obtained. Encrypted data sent to your secure email. With a faint smile, I lock the bathroom door and open my laptop. The file package from the detective contained Shin Zhao's recent movement records, call logs, and, what concerned me most, his complete medical records from Renha Hospital. The medical records were dense with professional terminology, but a few key phrases jumped out: oligospermia, low sperm motility, congenital physical weakness. Flipping to the end, the doctor's conclusion was particularly glaring: natural conception probability below 5%, assisted reproductive technology recommended. I let out a cold laugh. Continuing to browse through the materials sent by the detective, Shin Zhao's recent call records caught my attention. One number appeared frequently. Mostly late at night, I noted down the number and sent it to another contact. Find out who owns this number, the sooner the better. Just as I closed the laptop, there was a knock at the door. Madam, breakfast is ready. It was the voice of the maid. Xiaohe, got it, I'll be right down. In the dining room, Shin Nanlang was reading a financial newspaper with black coffee and whole wheat toast in front of him. Seeing me enter, he put down the newspaper. Did you sleep well? Very good. I walked over to him and gave him a light kiss on the cheek. 3. This action had become a habit, though initially it was just for the servants to see. Shin Nanlang handed me a document. Take a look at this. I opened the file. It was information about a medical equipment company that the Shin Group planned to acquire. In the previous life, this acquisition deal failed due to the other party concealing patent disputes, causing the Shin Group to lose tens of millions. There's a problem. I pointed at the patent list. The patent for this core product expires next year, and I've heard there's an ongoing infringement lawsuit. Shin Nanlang raised an eyebrow. How do you know that? I have a college classmate working at that company. I casually made up an excuse. The acquisition price should be reduced by at least 30%. And we need to add indemnity clauses for patent disputes. Shin Nanlang nodded thoughtfully. I'll have the legal department reevaluate. His gaze held a hint of admiration as he looked at me. You always manage to surprise me. I smiled without speaking. This is just the beginning, Shin Nanlang. In my past life, being constantly exposed to Shin Zhao's influence, I became thoroughly familiar with the operations of the Shin Group. In this life, this knowledge will become my sharp weapon to establish myself in the Shin family. Shin Zhao staggered into the dining room, his face as pale as a ghost. He had dark circles under his eyes and was still wearing yesterday's clothes, all crumpled as if he had slept on the sofa. Staying up late again. Shin Nanlang frowned. Shin Zhao didn't answer, walking straight to the coffee machine and pouring himself a full cup of black coffee. What about Miss Su? I asked deliberately. Why didn't she come for breakfast together? Shin Zhao's hand trembled slightly, spilling coffee on his skin. Yet he seemed unfazed by the heat. None of your business. Shin Zhao, Shin Nanlang shouted sternly. Apologize to your mother. She's not my mother. Shin Zhao whirled around, slamming the coffee cup onto the table with a bang. Don't you find it disgusting to marry a woman only 3 years older than me? The servants in the dining room all lowered their heads, pretending not to hear. Shin Nanlang's face darkened ominously as he slowly rose to his feet. Come to my study, now. Shin Zhao gave me a provocative glance before following his father out. I spread jam leisurely while pricking up my ears to listen to the commotion upstairs. Soon, faint sounds of roaring and objects being thrown could be heard. 20 minutes later, Shin Zhao stormed out of the study in a rage, slamming the door behind him. When Shin Nanlang came downstairs, his expression had returned to calm, but the veins on his temples betrayed his anger. He needs to reflect seriously, Shin Nanlang said coldly. I've frozen his credit card for 3 months. I handed him a freshly brewed cup of coffee. He's still young and doesn't know better. 25 is still young. Shin Nanlang shook his head. He's been spoiled by his mother. I didn't respond. In Shin Zhao's previous life, his mother passed away early, and Shin Nanlang never remarried, spoiling his only son rotten, until my appearance disrupted this balance. By the way, Shin Nanlang changed the subject. There's a charity banquet tonight. Will you accompany me? The honor is mine, I smiled. In my past life, I was never brought to such occasions. Shen Zhao always attended alone, using my humble origins and lack of etiquette as an excuse. In the afternoon, while I was selecting an evening gown in the dressing room, my phone rang. It was the reply about the number check. The number belongs to Lin Jifeng, vice president of Shen Group, who has a close relationship with the target, Lin Jifeng. I narrowed my eyes. Shen Zhao's trusted aide in my past life, who later became his accomplice in harming me. I never realized their collusion started this early. In the evening, I wore a burgundy mermaid gown and put on the diamond necklace Shen Nanling gave me. The reflection in the mirror dazzles with radiance, completely concealing my once ordinary origins. Beautiful, Shen Nanling stood at the doorway, his eyes flashing with admiration. I held his arm as we descended the stairs, just in time to encounter Su Ruoheng, who had just returned home. She was dressed in a crop top and hot pants, a full nightclub outfit, and visibly froze for a moment upon seeing us. Are you going out, Miss Su? I asked gently. Meeting a friend, she said nonchalantly. Though her eyes kept darting towards Shen Nanling, I noticed Shen Nanling frowned slightly. Where's Shen Zhao? Who knows? Su Ruoheng pursed her lips, probably drowning his sorrows at some bar. She jingled her car keys. I won't disturb you too. Watching her sway her hips as she walked away, a faint smile curled at the corners of my mouth. It seems this loving engaged couple's life is quite eventful. The charity gala was held at the Shangri-La Hotel, with most attendees being prominent figures from the business world. Shen Nanling became the center of attention the moment he entered, with people continuously coming over to exchange pleasantries. As for me, being Mrs. Shen, I naturally received unprecedented attention. So this is Mrs. Shen, indeed young and beautiful. A bejeweled woman scrutinized me. I heard you have a special constitution. I maintained my smile. You flatter me, Mrs. Li. Mr. Shen and I simply had fate bring us together. Fate, she smiled meaningfully. The Shen family has had 7 generations of single heirs, and Shen Zhao's health isn't good. The chairman must be getting anxious. I pretended not to catch her barbed tone. Speaking of Shen Zhao, his wedding with Miss Su is scheduled for next month. We'd be honored by your presence. Her expression froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to be so direct. Shen Nanling interjected at the right moment. Man cares deeply about Shen Zhao, even personally handling the wedding arrangements. The surrounding executives exchanged glances, their attitude towards me noticeably more respectful. It seems Shen Nanling's public statement has had an effect. Halfway through the dinner, I excused myself to touch up my makeup and went to the restroom. Just as I stepped out of the banquet hall, I spotted a familiar figure, Lin Jifeng, hiding in a corner while making a phone call. Don't worry, I've already calmed Shen Zhao down. He lowered his voice. No matter how much Shen Nanling dotes on that woman, it's useless as long as Shen Zhao remains the sole heir. I quietly retreated around the corner and only came out after he left. It seems Shen Zhao and his confidant are already conspiring. In my previous life, they gradually undermined Shen Nanling and ultimately caused my death. This lifetime I'll repay them double. On the way home, Shen Nanling received a call from the company about new developments in the acquisition case. After hanging up, he rarely showed a smile. They agreed to a 35% price reduction and accepted the exemption clause. Man, you've done a great job. I just mentioned it casually, I said modestly. No, you have great business acumen. Shen Nanling looked at me seriously. Starting tomorrow, come to the company with me. I'd like to hear your thoughts on several projects. This was exactly what I wanted. More opportunities to engage with the core business of the Shen Group. The honor is mine, I said softly. For the next 2 weeks, I accompanied Shen Nanling to the company every day, attending meetings and reviewing documents, gradually gaining an understanding of the Shen Group's operations. Meanwhile, the private investigator kept sending updates on Shen Zhao and Su Ruoheng's latest activities. After Shen Zhao's credit cards were suspended, he began meeting frequently with Lin Jifeng. Su Ruoheng was photographed entering and exiting high-end clubs with different men, including that model friend. The most dramatic part was when the detective captured Shen Zhao waiting outside the hotel for 3 hours, only to see Su Ruoheng come out arm in arm with another man. The expression on Shen Zhao's face in the photos could only be described as utter despair. I carefully preserved these materials, waiting for the perfect moment to use them. Right now, there's something more important. My ovulation period has arrived. That night, I deliberately changed into the silk nightgown I bought recently and sprayed Shen Nanling's favorite perfume. When he pushed open the bedroom door, he visibly froze for a moment. Is today some special occasion? He asked, his gaze lingering on me. I walked up to him and helped untie his tie. the doctor said these few days are the optimal conception period. Shen Nanling's eyes darkened as he reached out to caress my face. Are you sure you're ready? Didn't I marry you precisely for this? I stood on tiptoe and whispered in his ear. Shen Nanling, though much older, was a considerate partner who made everything thoroughly enjoyable. Moonlight streams through the window like water as I gently caressed my abdomen. I hope to succeed in one fell swoop this time. Only with a child can my position in the Shen family be truly secure. A month later, the family doctor confirmed my pregnancy. Shen Nanling was overjoyed and immediately ordered the nursery to be redecorated, even assigning me a dedicated nutritionist and bodyguard. I want to host a banquet, he said excitedly, to announce this wonderful news to everyone. I leaned against his chest. Whatever you say. The banquet was scheduled for the weekend, with all of the Shen family's relatives and business partners receiving invitations. Su Ruoheng reluctantly accompanied Shen Zhao to the event, standing together yet as strangers without any interaction. Midway through the banquet, Shen Nanling tapped his champagne glass, bringing the room to silence. Thank you all for coming, he announced, scanning the crowd with a booming voice. Today, I have joyous news to share. My wife Jiang Manman is pregnant. The Shen family will soon welcome a new generation. Thunderous applause erupted as guests rushed forward to offer congratulations. I stood beside Shen Nanling, accepting everyone's flattery, but my eyes remained fixed on Shen Zhao in the corner. His face turned deathly pale the moment he heard the news, and the wine glass in his hand fell to the ground with a clink, spilling red wine everywhere. Lin Jifeng quickly pulled him away, but that momentary expression was already deeply imprinted in my mind. Shock, fear, despair, and hatred. Su Ruoheng, however, brightened up and quickly walked up to me. Congratulations, Auntie, she deliberately emphasized the word and, adding, I hope it's a healthy baby. Thank you, I smiled. Both Nanling and I hope to have several children. After all, the Shen family has vast properties to manage. Shen Nanling wrapped his arm around my shoulder. The doctor said Man has a unique constitution. It's very likely twins. The guests gasped in surprise once again. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Shen Zhao standing in the distance, his gaze dark and sinister as it fixed on my abdomen. That look sent a chill down my spine, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of satisfaction. After the banquet, Shen Nanling was pulled aside by several executives to discuss business, while I excused myself, citing early pregnancy discomfort, and returned to my room to rest. Just as I reached the corner of the staircase, a hand suddenly grabbed my wrist and yanked me into the dark, small parlor. Shen Zhao's face looked particularly ferocious in the dim light. You wretch. Did you think getting pregnant would let you rest easy? I shook off his hand and calmly straightened my sleeves. Watch your language, Shen Zhao. I'm now carrying the Shen family's heir, he sneered. Who knows if it's not some bastard child? Would you dare say that to your father's face? I retorted. Or could it be you're jealous? After all, the doctor said you'd likely never have children of your own. Shen Zhao's pupils constricted sharply. You? How did you know? I know far more than you can imagine. I took a step forward, though shorter in stature. My presence was undiminished. For instance, your conspiracy with Lin Jifeng to sideline your father, or how Su Ruoheng meets that model at the Four Seasons Hotel every Wednesday. Shen Zhao's face paled. You've been spying on me, just protecting my family. I smiled. Shen Zhao, accept your fate. From now on, your standing in the Shen family will only decline, but don't worry, as your mother, I'll take good care of you. He was trembling with rage, raising his hand to hit me. I was prepared and quickly stepped back while pressing the play button on my phone. Shen Nanling's voice came from the speaker. Man, where are you? Shen Zhao's hand froze midair. I shook my phone. Your father is looking for me. Do you want him to see how you're treating his wife and unborn child? Shen Zhao gnashed his teeth and lowered his hand. We'll see about this. Watching his disheveled figure retreat into the distance, I let out a long sigh of relief. This is just the first round. Shen Zhao, once the child in my womb is born, your good days will truly be over. Returning to the bedroom, I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the Shen family estate. Under the moonlight, a familiar figure was storming toward the garage. It was Shen Zhao. Minutes later, his sports car roared out through the gates. I gently caressed my still flat abdomen, a cold smirk curling at the corner of my lips. Ms. Jiang, please lie flatter. In the top-tier VIP examination room of Renhe Hospital, cold ultrasound gel was spread across my lower abdomen. Shen Nanling stood beside the examination bed, his eyes fixed unblinkingly on the ultrasound screen. Mr. Shen, you might need to brace yourself. Director Li, with graying hair, adjusted his glasses, his voice tinged with barely suppressed astonishment. Shen Nanling's body tensed instantly. What's wrong? Is there a problem with the baby? Director Lee didn't answer immediately, instead moving the probe to make the image on the screen clearer. I tilted my head to look. Several small dots were flashing rhythmically on the black and white image. This is, I feigned surprise, covering my mouth. For fetal heartbeats. Director Lee's voice trembled slightly. Ms. Jiang is carrying quadruplets. Shin Nanlang suddenly gripped the examination bed railing, his knuckles turning white. F4, yes. For separate gestational sacs, all developing well. Director Lee adjusted the image. Look here, here, and here, all 4 heartbeats are strong. I stole a glance at Shin Nanlang's expression, watching as the shock on his face gradually transformed into ecstasy, even bringing tears to the corners of his eyes. The 45-year-old middle-aged man was now overjoyed like a child. Man, he grabbed my hand abruptly. Did you hear that? 4. The Shin family is about to have 4 heirs at once. I nodded with a smile, but inside, I was sneering. In my past life, I only conceived 1 child before Shin Zhao killed me. This lifetime, I'll make the Shin family completely change, replacing that good-for-nothing with 4 healthy children. This is truly a miracle. Director Lee exclaimed. The odds of naturally conceiving quadruplets are only 1 in 700. Ms. Zhang's physique is indeed extraordinary. Shin Nanlang suddenly turned and said to his assistant standing in the corner. Contact attorney Zhou immediately. I'm transferring 10% of Shin Corporation's shares to my wife. Get it done today. The assistant froze momentarily before swiftly pulling out his phone. I feigned surprise. Nanlang, this is too valuable. No, this is far from enough. Shin Nanlang said excitedly. You've given the Shin family a future, given me hope. His voice choked up. This was the first time I'd seen this hardened businessman show such raw emotion. After the examination, Shin Nanlang carefully helped me sit up, personally wiping the ultrasound gel from my abdomen as if I were some fragile treasure. Mr. Shen, a quadruplet pregnancy carries higher risks and requires extra caution, Director Lee said gravely. I recommend weekly checkups to closely monitor the baby's condition. Of course, Shin Nanlang nodded. I'll arrange for the best medical team to be on standby 24/7. Stepping out of the examination room, he saw an unexpected figure in the hallway, Shin Zhao. Leaning against the wall, his face was as dark as storm clouds gathering before the tempest. What brings you here? Shin Nanlang frowned. Shin Zhao forced a stiff smile. I heard about today's prenatal checkup, so I came to show some concern for my little siblings. The last few words seemed to be squeezed through clenched teeth. I keenly noticed his right hand gripping the phone tightly, knuckles turning white. Perfect timing, I smiled. Just finished the checkup, and I have good news to share. Shin Nanlang couldn't wait to interject. Man is carrying quadruplets. The Shin family will have 4 children at once. Shin Zhao's expression froze instantly, a flicker of terror flashing through his eyes, followed by deep resentment. He forced a smile. Congratulations. His voice was as dry as sandpaper. By the way, I asked casually, is Shin Zhao here to see Director Lee? Shin Zhao stiffened. No, at that moment. A young doctor in a white coat hurried over from the end of the corridor. He visibly froze upon seeing our group, especially when his gaze flickered upon noticing Shin Zhao. Dr. Zhang. I accurately called out his name. In my past life, it was he who helped Shin Zhao forge my false pregnancy with Sacred Constitution certificate. Dr. Zhang's expression changed. You know me. I heard you're an expert in reproductive medicine. I smiled. I happen to have some questions to consult. Could we speak privately? Shin Zhao suddenly interrupted. Dr. Zhang is very busy. Let's do this another day. Just a few minutes, I insisted, while giving a meaningful glance to the bodyguard standing nearby. This bodyguard was newly assigned to me by Shin Nanlang, a retired Special Forces soldier with exceptional skills. Dr. Zhang hesitated and glanced at Shin Zhao, but ultimately followed me to the corridor corner. Shin Zhao wanted to follow, but was stopped by Shin Nanlang, who asked about company matters. Dr. Zhang, I lowered my voice. What did Shin Zhao ask you to do today? Dr. Zhang's face turned pale instantly. I don't understand what you mean. Stop pretending, I sneered. He asked you to tamper with the medical report, didn't he? Like fabricating fetal abnormalities, or reducing the number of fetuses. Dr. Zhang's legs began trembling. Madam, I took an envelope from my bag and pulled out photos, taken by a private investigator, showing Dr. Zhang having a secret meeting with Shin Zhao at a cafe. 2 options, I said calmly. First, I hand these over to Mr. Shin, and you'll not only lose your job but may also face legal action. Second, you tell me Shin Zhao's entire plan, and I'll act like nothing ever happened. Dr. Zhang's forehead broke out in cold sweat. Young Master Shin. He told me to mark single fetus developmental disorder on your examination report, he said that way your father wouldn't pay as much attention. Just as I thought, I sneered. What else did he promise you? After the Shin Group's new hospital is completed, make me the department head, Dr. Zhang was almost in tears. Madam, I was momentarily confused. I beg you, now, go tell Mr. Shin the truth. I commanded, otherwise, I understand, Dr. Zhang nodded repeatedly. When we returned to Shin Nanling's side, Shin Zhao was explaining some project progress. Seeing Dr. Zhang following behind me, his expression instantly turned horrified. Mr. Shin, Dr. Zhang suddenly exclaimed loudly, I have something important to report. Shin Nanling frowned. What is it, young Master Shin? He asked me to falsify Madam's medical report, Dr. Zhang blurted out. He said if I didn't comply, he'd make sure I couldn't survive in the medical field. The corridor fell into a terrifying silence. Shin Nanling's face visibly darkened, while Shin Zhao turned ashen pale. What nonsense are you spouting? Shin Zhao roared, grabbing Dr. Zhang's collar violently. I don't even know you. Enough. Shin Nanling's sharp shout echoed through the corridor, startling several passing nurses who hurried away. We'll discuss this back at the company. He lowered his voice, though the anger remained evident. Dad, let me explain. Shin Zhao panicked. This man is slandering me. It must be Jiang Manman's doing. She's trying to drive a wedge between us. 4. Shin Nanling glared coldly at his son. Oh, then what are these? He snatched the photos from my hand and threw them in Shin Zhao's face. The photos scattered across the floor, clearly showing Shin Zhao's secret meetings with Dr. Zhang. The evidence was irrefutable. Shin Zhao's face turned from pale to ashen, then from ashen to red, finally settling on a despairing deathly pallor. He opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. Return to the company immediately. Shin Nanling's voice was as cold as ice. Attorney Zhou is also there. We need to rediscuss the matter of your shares. Shin Zhaoru was thunderstruck, staggering back a step. Dad, you can't. Now, Shin Nanling barked. Shin Zhao finally gave me a resentful glare before staggering away. I timely showed a concerned expression. Nanling, don't be too angry. Shin Zhao might have just had a momentary lapse of judgment. A momentary lapse, Shin Nanling sneered. He was trying to harm my child. He grasped my hand. Man, thank goodness you were alert. Otherwise, I leaned against his shoulder. I just happened to see them together and became more vigilant. As I looked up, I caught Dr. Zhang's relieved expression and smiled faintly at him. Dr. Zhang, thank you for exposing the truth. After the completion of Shin's new hospital, we will consider your position. Dr. Zhang froze, then quickly realized I was fulfilling my promise and repeatedly bowed. Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. On the way back in the car, Shin Nanling held my hand tightly without letting go. The news of the quadruplets thrilled him beyond measure, while Shin Zhao's betrayal filled him with burning rage. These two extreme emotions intertwined on his face, forming a peculiar expression. Man, he suddenly said, starting today, you must not be left alone for 24 hours. I'll arrange 2 more bodyguards. I feigned surprise. Is that necessary? Shin Zhao is after all your son. Precisely because he's my son that I understand him. Shin Nanling's voice carried unprecedented coldness. He's been spoiled since childhood. What he can't obtain, he'd rather destroy. I lowered my head to stroke my flat abdomen, masking the coldness in my eyes. Shin Nanling was right. Shin Zhao was indeed that kind of person, in my past life. When he couldn't have Su Ruohang, he vented his anger on me and our unborn child. By the way, Shin Nanling changed the subject. Lawyer Zhou has already prepared the equity transfer documents. You just need to sign them this afternoon. I looked up, tears welling up in my eyes at just the right moment. Nanling, this is too generous. You deserve it, he said resolutely. The 10% is just the beginning. When the children are born, I'll transfer more shares to your name. His eyes shone with unwavering determination. The future of the Shin family rests on you and the children. The afternoon signing ceremony took place in the company's top-floor conference room. Lawyer Zhou explained the details of the share transfer thoroughly, while Shin Nanling held my hand the entire time, his face filled with pride. After signing, Shin Nanling publicly announced, starting today, Ms. Jiang Manman officially becomes a shareholder of Shin Group, holding 10% of the shares, and joins the board of directors. The executives present applauded in congratulations. Only Lin Jifeng's expression remained stiff, his eyes constantly darting towards Shin Zhao in the corner. Shin Zhao stood there, his face as gloomy as the sky before a storm. The documents in his hand crumpled from his grip. After the meeting concluded, Shin Nanling convened a family gathering. Several key members of the Shin family sat around the long table, the atmosphere so tense you could wring water from it. Considering Shin Zhao's behavior today, Shin Nanling got straight to the point. I've decided to adjust his position and shares in the company. Shin Zhao abruptly looked up. Dad, we're reclaiming 3% of your 5% shares, leaving you with only 2%. Shin Nanling said coldly, you'll retain your position as deputy director of the project department. But all major decisions must be signed off by Director Lin. Lin Jifeng visibly froze for a moment, never expecting to be called upon. I sneered inwardly. Shin Nanling's move was brilliant, having Shin Zhao's trusted subordinate monitor him, appearing fair while driving a wedge between them. This isn't fair. Shin Zhao slammed the table and stood up, for the sake of one woman. You'd ruin your own son, watch your words. Shin Nanling barked sharply. That's your mother, carrying your younger siblings. She's not my mother. Shin Zhao screamed hysterically. She's just a fraud. Who knows whose bastards those children are? As soon as the words fell, Shin Nanling had already slapped him across the face. With a sharp crack, Shin Zhao's face was knocked to the side, a trickle of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Get out. Shin Nanling's voice was as cold as ice. If I hear such words again, you'll be thrown out of the Shin family. Shin Zhao covered his face, the hatred in his eyes almost materializing. He scanned the room, his gaze finally landing on me, sending chills down my spine. But in an instant, he reverted to being that aggrieved son again. Dad, I was wrong. His voice choked with sobs. I was just afraid of losing your love. Shin Nanling's expression softened slightly. Seeing this, I immediately interjected softly, Nanling. The child knows their mistake. Shin Zhao just had a momentary lapse in judgment. After all, suddenly gaining 4 younger siblings would make anyone feel unsettled. While these words seemed to plead for Shin Zhao's sake, each sentence struck a painful chord. Sure enough, Shin Nanling's expression turned cold again. A 25-year-old acting so immature. Get out. Shin Zhao finally glared at me with resentment before slamming the door and leaving. The meeting ended hastily, with the Shin family members dispersing, each harboring their own thoughts. When I returned home in the evening, Shin Nanling was still angry, drinking whiskey one glass after another. I walked over with a cup of warm milk and gently held his hand. Stop drinking. It's not good for your health. Shin Nanling put down his glass, rubbing his temples wearily. Am I too much of a failure to have raised my son like this? It's not your fault. I leaned against his shoulder. Some people are just born, not quite right. Shin Nanling suddenly looked up. What do you mean? I pretended to hesitate. I shouldn't say. Speak. Shin Nanling commanded. While tidying up the study last time, I accidentally came across Shin Zhao's medical records. I whispered. The doctor diagnosed him with sociopathic tendencies. Shin Nanling was thunderstruck. What? How come I didn't know about this? Perhaps his ex-wife hid it to spare you worry. I ventured cautiously. The records were concealed inside the dust jacket of Das Kapital, very well hidden. Shin Nanling immediately stood up and rushed toward the study. I slowly followed, knowing he would find that meticulously forged medical report. In the previous life, Shin Zhao did indeed have psychological issues, but was never formally diagnosed. In this life, I'll make sure Shin Nanling sees his son's true nature clearly. The sound of rummaging through drawers came from the study, followed by Shin Nanling's curses. I stood at the doorway, watching his trembling hands holding that medical report, his face filled with shock and anguish. No wonder he's enjoyed abusing small animals since childhood. Shin Nanling murmured to himself. I thought it was just typical boyish mischief. I walked over and embraced him. Don't be too upset. It's not too late to know now. We can hire the best psychologist. Shin Nanling shook his head, a resolute glint flashing in his eyes. No, some people are born demons. From today onward, I won't show him any more mercy. I leaned against his chest, a cold smile curling at the corner of my lips. Shin Zhao, your good days are truly over. Late at night, I stood by the bedroom window, watching a sports car roar out of the Shin family's gates. It was Shin Zhao, heading off to vent his anger somewhere again. I gently touched my abdomen, feeling the 4 little lives growing inside. Shin Zhao, this is just the beginning. I whispered into the night, the pain you inflicted on me in our past life, I'll return it to you bit by bit. The phone vibrated with a message from the private detective. Target met secretly with Lin Jifeng at Nightfall Bar. Conversation recorded. Should I send it now? I replied, not yet. Continue surveillance. Putting down the phone, I lay on the bed, sensing subtle changes within my body. 4 tiny lives were thriving inside me. They were my weapons of revenge, and my foundation for standing firm in the Shin family. Shin Zhao, no matter what you're plotting, you can't escape my notice. In this lifetime, I'll watch you walk step by step toward your own destruction. By the 4th month of pregnancy, my belly had visibly swollen, much larger than that of an average expectant mother. the burden of carrying quadruplets often left my back aching. But every time I touched my belly and felt the movements of those 4 little lives, all weariness melted into sweetness. The morning sunlight streamed through the curtains into the bedroom as I leaned against the headboard, flipping through the documents Shin Nanling had left on the nightstand. It was a proposal about Shin Corporation's acquisition of a coastal resort. In my past life, this project caused significant losses to the Shin family due to fraudulent environmental assessments. Working so early, Shin Nanling emerged from the bathroom, water still dripping from his hair. The 45-year-old man maintained an excellent physique, with well-defined abdominal muscles that made it hard to believe he was approaching the age of knowing his destiny. I weighed the documents. There's a problem with this project. Shin Nanling raised an eyebrow and sat on the edge of the bed. How so? This environmental assessment report. I pointed to one page. The data is too perfect. Unrealistically perfect. I checked local forums where fishermen reported significantly worsening water quality in recent years, but the report makes no mention of it. Shin Nanling frowned as he took the documents. Environmental matters are Lin Jifeng's responsibility. Director Lin might be too busy to notice the details, I said lightly, actually implying Lin Jifeng's dereliction of duty. In my past life, it was precisely him and Shin Zhao who jointly covered up this issue. Shin Nanling pondered for a moment, then picked up his phone. I'll have a third party re-evaluate it. I smiled without speaking. Since the hospital incident last time, Shin Nanling has grown increasingly trusting of my business instincts. Over the past month, several issues I accidentally discovered have successfully helped the Shin family avoid risks. Now, I've earned the nickname Lucky Star among the board of directors. My phone vibrated with a new message from the private investigator. Target had a heated argument with Su Ruohang last night. Su Ruohang left home and is currently staying in room 2806 at the Four Seasons Hotel. Had a male visitor at 2 a.m. I deleted the message, a slight smile playing at the corners of my mouth. The perfect marriage between Shin Zhao and Su Ruohang finally collapsed. In their past life, Su Ruohang was the white moonlight in Shin Zhao's heart, but in this life, she became his nightmare. How are you feeling today? Shin Nanling adjusted his suit and leaned down to kiss my forehead. Pretty good. I stroked my belly. It's just that the little ones are too active. They kept kicking me awake last night. Shin Nanling's large hand covered my abdomen, just in time to feel a distinct fetal movement. His eyes instantly softened. So mischievous. Just like you. No way. It must be like you, I said coquettishly, so domineering, never giving me a moment's peace. Shin Nanling chuckled softly, kissed me again, and then left. Listening to the sound of his footsteps fading away, I picked up my phone and dialed a number. Dr. Lee, this is Jiang Manman. I'd like to reschedule next week's checkup. Yes, change it to Wednesday at 10 a.m. No, please don't inform anyone else, including Mr. Shin. I want to surprise him. After hanging up, I slowly got out of bed to wash up. In the mirror, though my belly was protruding, my limbs remained slender, and my face glowed with that pregnancy radiance. When I was pregnant with Shin Zhao's child in my past life, I suffered from severe morning sickness, but this time it's surprisingly smooth with hardly any nausea. When I went downstairs for breakfast, the servant's attitude became even more respectful than before, ever since I became a shareholder of Shin Corporation. Even the usually arrogant housekeeper Lin has learned to bow his head. Madam, your freshly squeezed orange juice. He carefully placed the glass in front of me. I nodded in thanks and casually flipped open today's financial newspaper. The front page prominently featured news of Shin Group's successful acquisition of a medical equipment company, accompanied by a photo of Shin Nanling looking triumphant. This report was supposed to appear a year later, but has now been advanced due to my intervention. While having breakfast, the doorbell rang. Moments later, Xiaohe rushed in nervously. Madam, Miss Su's mother is here, asking to see you. I raised an eyebrow. Show her in, Mrs. Su stormed into the dining room with an angry expression, her well-maintained face filled with fury. Jiang Manman, what do you mean by this? Why are you spreading rumors to ruin my daughter's reputation? I wiped my mouth leisurely. Madam Su, I don't understand what you're talking about. Stop playing dumb. Mother Su slammed the table. What's the meaning of those photos? Ruohang with different men. Those kinds of photos are circulating throughout the entire social circle now. I feigned surprise. What photos? I truly don't know. After a pause, but, a few days ago, a friend did mention seeing Miss Su at nightfall with a gentleman, being very intimate. I even defended her, saying it must be a misunderstanding. Mother Su's face turned alternately pale and livid. You, Madam Su. My tone turned cold. What your daughter has done has nothing to do with me. Instead of questioning me, you do better to discipline your daughter properly. After all, she's still the Shin family's daughter-in-law. My stepmother was left speechless by my retort, finally throwing out an angry "we'll see" before slamming the door and leaving. I picked up my phone and sent a message to the private investigator. The photos were spread well, the final payment has been made. Putting down the phone, I happily finished my orange juice. In her past life, Su Ruohang was a socialite with a chaotic private life that was never exposed. In this lifetime, I'll make Shin Zhao taste the bitterness of being a cuckold, letting everyone know what kind of woman he married. In the afternoon, I went to the headquarters of Shin Corporation as planned. Since getting pregnant, Shin Nanling specially arranged a private office for me next to the CEO's office, making it convenient for me to rest anytime. Shortly after sitting down, Lin Jifeng knocked and entered, wearing an artificial smile. "Chairman Jiang, here's the environmental assessment for the new project. Please review it." I took the documents and pretended to read through them carefully. This new evaluation is clearly much more rigorous than the previous one. It seems my reminder this morning had an effect. Well done. I closed the file. Director Lin has worked hard. Lin Jifeng forced a stiff smile. "It's my duty." He hesitated, then added that Shin Zhao hasn't been in good spirits lately. I hope Chairman Jiang won't take it to heart. I raised an eyebrow. Director Lin and Shin Zhao are quite close. Lin Jifeng's forehead beaded with sweat. "Just colleagues," showing some concern. "Is that so?" I smiled. "Then please convey to him that as his stepmother, I'm deeply concerned about his physical and mental well-being. If he needs a psychiatrist, the Shin family can arrange for the best." Lin Jifeng nodded repeatedly before hastily retreating from the office. I let out a cold laugh and picked up my phone to check the surveillance app. This software was connected to the bugs I had installed in Shin Nanling's study and Shin Zhao's apartment, a masterpiece from the private detective. Sure enough, half an hour later, Lin Jifeng and Shin Zhao met at a cafe. The bugs clearly transmitted their conversation. "That bitch is getting suspicious." Shin Zhao's voice was filled with resentment. "She must know about the tricks we played with the environmental assessment." "Calm down," Lin Jifeng said in a hushed tone. "The most important thing now is not to alert the enemy. When she goes into labor, I've already made arrangements at the hospital." "Wait even longer," Shin Zhao nearly shouted. "She's already flaunting my father's child in the boardroom. If we wait a few more months, will there even be a place for me in the Shin family?" "Keep your voice down," Lin Jifeng warned. "The plan is set. Accidents in the delivery room are all too common. Massive hemorrhage, amniotic fluid embolism, any one of them could take her life. When the time comes and your father is overcome with grief, who else can he rely on to run the company but you?" My blood ran cold in an instant. In my past life, Shin Zhao only kicked me while drunk, causing a miscarriage, but in this life they actually planned to take my life directly. Forcing myself to stay calm, I continued eavesdropping. "What about those 4 bastards?" Shin Zhao asked through gritted teeth. "Let's solve this together." Lin Jifeng's voice was so cold it didn't sound human. "Premature babies are too fragile. It's normal for accidents to happen." I turned off the surveillance software, my hands instinctively covering my abdomen. Although I had anticipated Shin Zhao's retaliation, I never imagined he could be this vicious. After taking several deep breaths, I dialed the private investigator's number. "I need you to look into a few people." "Yes, from the obstetrics department of Renhe Hospital, especially those connected to Li Jifeng." Hanging up the phone, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. The sunlight remains brilliant, pedestrians as insignificant as ants. At this height, everything is under control, including Shin Zhao's murder plan, which he thought was well concealed. Returning home in the evening, Shin Nanling had unusually come back early and was handling documents in the study, carrying a cup of hot milk. I walked in and found him reviewing a medical report. "What is this?" I asked curiously. Shin Nanling quickly closed the file. "Nothing, just routine physical exam reports." He changed the subject. "Were the babies well behaved today?" Pretending not to notice his odd behavior, I smiled and replied, "Quite well, just a little hungry." I stroked my belly. "Nanling, I want to switch to a different hospital for delivery." Shin Nanling frowned. "What's wrong? Isn't Renhe the best?" "It is the best, but..." I hesitated. I heard several medical staff recently resigned, worrying it might affect service quality, and I lowered my voice. "I heard Shin Zhao and Lin Jifeng have connections at Renhe." Shin Nanling's eyes turned sharp. "What did they do?" "There's no solid evidence." I shook my head. "It's just a gut feeling. Maybe it's just pregnancy anxiety." Shin Nanling pondered for a moment before picking up his phone. "I'll contact my friends in the States to arrange a top-tier obstetrics team. It'll be safer to deliver at home." I leaned against his shoulder. "I'll follow your lead." That's exactly what I wanted. Giving birth at home with full control over the medical team will completely thwart Shin Zhao's scheme. 3 days later, The private investigator sent a comprehensive report. Renha Hospital indeed had 2 medical staff members with financial dealings with Lin Jifeng, including an anesthesiologist and a nurse. More shockingly, the report revealed that Xin Zhao recently purchased a colorless, odorless drug capable of causing postpartum hemorrhage. I printed out the report and locked it in the safe. These will be powerful weapons against Xin Zhao in the future, but now is not the time to expose them. I'll wait until he actually makes his move, then catch him red-handed. Xin Zhao made a rare appearance at the weekend family dinner. Ever since his shares were reduced, he rarely appeared at family gatherings. Today was an exception. He even smiled at me, if that twisted expression could be called a smile. Aunt Jiang. He deliberately used honorifics. I heard you changed your medical team. I smiled. Yes, your father wasn't at ease, so he specially brought in a team from the States. Xin Zhao's lips twitched slightly. Then, where will the production take place? At home, Shen Nanling interjected. We've already prepared a delivery room, more comfortable and safer than a hospital. I noticed Xin Zhao's hands trembling slightly, but he quickly regained control. That's wonderful. I'm really looking forward to the birth of my younger siblings. Thank you for your concern. I said softly. By the way, why didn't Miss Su come? Xin Zhao's face darkened instantly. She isn't feeling well. I feigned concern. Shall we call the family doctor? Pregnant women shouldn't take risks. Pregnant? Shen Nanling looked at me in surprise. Su Ruohang is pregnant. Xin Zhao's face turned deathly pale. No, that's not. She's just... I heard she went to the gynecology department last week. I said softly. Thought there might be good news. Shen Nanling frowned. Xin Zhao. What's really going on? Cold sweat broke out on Xin Zhao's forehead. Just, routine checkup. I tactfully changed the subject. Alright, let's eat first. Pregnancy topics are making the young ones uncomfortable. Undercurrents surged beneath the dining table. Xin Zhao's gaze kept drifting toward me, filled with venom and fear. He must be worried about the failure of the production plan, and even more terrified that Su Ruohang's scandal would be exposed. After dinner, Shen Nanling was called away by a phone call. I excused myself due to pregnancy fatigue to rest in my room, but was intercepted by Xin Zhao at the staircase corner. What do you know? He demanded in a hushed voice, his eyes glinting dangerously. I feigned confusion. What do you mean? Stop playing dumb. He grabbed my wrist abruptly. About Ruohang, and let go of my wife. The bodyguard's voice came from behind, and the next second Xin Zhao was pinned against the wall, rubbing my wrist. I glared coldly at him. Xin Zhao. What do you think you're doing? You'll regret this. Jiang Man, Xin Zhao said through gritted teeth. I swear, you'll regret this. The bodyguard looked at me, awaiting instructions. I shook my head. Let him go. Xin Zhao. I suggest you calm down. Acting on impulse is the devil's work. Xin Zhao straightened his clothes, gave me one last glare, then turned and left, watching his unsteady retreating figure. I knew he had reached the end of his rope. And a cornered beast is often the most dangerous. Back in the bedroom, I locked the door and retrieved a compact self-defense stun gun from under my pillow, given to me by the private investigator, powerful enough to incapacitate a grown man. Xin Zhao's madness exceeded expectations. I needed to be even more cautious. Outside the window, the setting sun dyed the Shin family estate blood red. I gently caressed my swollen belly, feeling the movements of the 4 little lives inside. Don't be afraid. Mommy will protect you, I whispered in promise. No one can harm us. The chessboard of revenge has reached its critical moment. Xin Zhao's killing intent has surfaced, and my counterattack has only just begun. In the early morning when my pregnancy had just reached 32 weeks, a sharp pain jolted me awake from sleep. My hand instinctively reached for my abdomen, and my palm immediately sensed an unusual tightness. Contractions, coming fast and intense. Nanling. I shook my husband awake beside me, my voice trembling with pain. I think the baby's coming. Shen Nanling snapped awake instantly and pressed the emergency call button by the bed. The entire Shen family estate lit up as bright as day, the alarm startling everyone awake. 2 weeks ahead of the due date, Shen Nanling helped me get dressed while issuing commands through the intercom. Activate the emergency plan immediately. Contact the medical team. I clenched my teeth, cold sweat beading on my forehead. Don't be afraid, the American medical team will arrive within 20 minutes. Shen Nanling picked me up and strode toward the prepared home delivery room. Everything will go smoothly. I gripped his collar tightly, suddenly remembering something. Wait, your phone, bring it. Shen Nanling was taken aback, but still turned around to grab his phone. I breathed a sigh of relief. In our previous life, he forgot his phone when going out today and missed an important call, causing massive losses for the company. In this life, I must ensure he can always answer that call. The delivery room was fully prepared, with suitable temperature and complete equipment. It looked no different from a high-end hospital's delivery room. Shin Nanling carefully placed me on the bed, and nurses immediately surrounded me to conduct examinations. The cervix is already dilated to 4 centimeters. Delivery must begin immediately, announced Chief Obstetrician Catherine after the examination. The risk of premature birth for quadruplets is very high. We need to prepare the NICU right away. Shin Nanling's expression turned grave. Do everything possible to ensure both mother and children are safe. Another wave of contractions hit. The pain so intense my vision darkened, yet I still forced myself to stay conscious. Something's wrong. This is all too wrong. With my constitution, I shouldn't be going into labor this early. Nanling. I grasped his hand with difficulty. Check. Everyone who entered the manor today, especially the medical team. Shin Nanling frowned. You suspect. Please. The veins on my forehead bulged. For the children's sake. Shin Nanling immediately turned and ordered the head of security. Lock down the manor, verify everyone's identity, especially the newly arrived medical staff. The security captain acknowledged the order and left. I felt slightly relieved, but the pain in my abdomen grew increasingly intense, almost making it impossible to think. Madam, push, we can already see the first baby's head. Dr. Catherine encouraged. I clenched my teeth and mustered all my strength. After a tearing pain, the first baby's cry rang out. It's a boy, the nurse announced excitedly. Though premature, his cry is strong. I smiled weakly, but before I could rejoice, the next wave of contractions came. Quadruplets mean going through labor 4 times, and my physical strength is rapidly draining away. The second baby is out too, and it's another boy. At that very moment, a commotion erupted outside the door. The head bodyguard rushed in with an unusually grim expression. Mr. Shin. We found an imposter nurse in the changing room. She was carrying syringes and unidentified drugs. Shin Nanling's expression changed abruptly. Find out clearly who was behind this. They've already confessed. It was. The head bodyguard hesitated and glanced at me. It was young Master Shin Zhao. Even though I had anticipated it, this news still sent a tremor through my heart. Shin Zhao has indeed made his move, and more viciously than in the previous life. Not an impulsive act while drunk, but a carefully planned murder. That unfilial son. Shin Nanling was furious and turned to rush out. Wait. I grabbed his hand with all my strength. There are still 2 children. I need you here. Shin Nanling struggled for a moment before finally nodding. I'll handle things here first. That unfilial brat won't get far. The production continued, but the atmosphere had clearly grown much tenser. Bodyguards stood ready outside the delivery room. Even medical staff were under close surveillance. Exhausted as I was, I dared not relax for a second. The third child, a girl, just as the third baby was born. Shin Nanling's phone suddenly rang. He was about to hang up, but his expression changed slightly upon seeing the number. It's an emergency contact from the Swiss bank. Answer, I said weakly. It's important. Shin Nanling gave me a puzzled look but still answered the call. Hello, what? His expression shifted from shock to anger. Freeze that account immediately. I'll send someone to handle it right away. After hanging up, Shin Nanling's face darkened ominously. Shin Zhao is transferring overseas assets and even forged my signature. He gritted his teeth. He's preparing to flee. I closed my eyes, sneering inwardly. Shin Zhao, you've truly been driven to desperate measures. The last baby, a girl. Congratulations. 2 boys and 2 girls, a perfect combination, announced Dr. Catherine. The 4 little lives were carefully placed beside me, premature but crying loudly, all appearing quite healthy. I gently touched their wrinkled little faces as tears blurred my vision. The children I failed to protect in my past life have finally been born safely in this one. Nanling, let's give the children names, I said softly. Shin Nanling looked at the 4 little lives, the anger in his eyes slightly subsiding. The eldest will be Shin Rui, the second Shin Jia, the third Shin Yu, and the youngest Shin Lin. Beautiful, I smiled, then suddenly remembered something. By the way, you should head to the office. The Swiss bank matter needs your personal attention. Shin Nanling hesitated, looking at me and the children. But you all, we're safe with the bodyguards and medical team here, I insisted. The company matters are more important. Shin Nanling finally nodded. I'll return as soon as possible. He kissed my forehead and the children's before hurrying off. I knew what he would face by leaving. The car accident arranged by Shin Zhao. In this life, I will not only save myself and the children, but also Shin Nanling. After confirming Shin Nanling had left, I asked the nurse to take the children to rest in the adjacent nursery, keeping only the most trusted security captain with me, Captain Zhang. I forced myself to stay awake. Mr. Shin is in danger. Shin Zhao has arranged a car accident on his way to the company. Captain Zhang's face turned pale. I'll notify Mr. Shen immediately. No, don't alert the enemy. I shook my head. Take a few trustworthy men and set up an ambush at that road section in advance. Remember, it's a blue truck with license plate ending in 37. Captain Zhang looked at me in shock. Madam, how did you know? No time to explain, I said weakly but firmly. You must ensure Mr. Shen's safety. After catching the perpetrator, send them directly to the police station. Don't let Xin Zhao know. Captain Zhang accepted the order and left. I let out a long sigh, finally allowing myself to close my eyes for a brief rest. When I woke again, Shen Nanlang was sitting by the bed, his face terrifyingly grim. Seeing me open my eyes, he immediately grasped my hand. Man, you're awake. Are the children okay? My voice was hoarse. They're fine, all under observation in incubators, but the doctor says they're perfectly healthy. Shen Nanlang forced a smile, though the fury in his eyes was unmistakable. Captain Zhang caught the truck driver. He's already confessed that Xin Zhao was behind this. I feigned shock. What? He wanted to kill you, not just me. Shen Nanlang's voice was cold as ice. He planned to eliminate both of us today, then flee abroad with the embezzled assets. I closed my eyes as tears streamed down. These tears were half genuine, half feigned, for Xin Zhao's cruelty, and for the joy of the plan's success. Man, I owe you my life. Shen Nanlang gripped my hand tightly. If you hadn't reminded me to bring my phone, if you hadn't sensed the danger, what about Xin Zhao? I asked softly. He ran, but he won't get far. Shen Nanlang sneered. I've frozen all his accounts and issued a citywide manhunt. He won't escape. I nodded and said no more. Xin Zhao's fate was already sealed. 3 days later, when I could barely manage to walk, the first thing I did was visit the children. In the nursery, 4 little babies lay in incubators, their tiny hands and feet moving occasionally, so adorable it could melt your heart. They're so beautiful. Dr. Catherine stood beside me. Though premature, all their vitals are excellent. They can leave the incubators after 1 more week of observation. I gently touched the incubator's glass, feeling an unprecedented surge of protectiveness in my heart. These 4 little lives are my motivation for revenge, and also the hope for my new life. Madam, Captain Zhang hurried over. We have news about Xin Zhao. I followed Captain Zhang into the corridor. Speak. He was caught at the docks trying to stow away to Southeast Asia. Captain Zhang whispered. Mr. Shen has already had him committed to a psychiatric hospital, claiming antisocial personality disorder requiring compulsory treatment. I raised an eyebrow. A mental hospital. That's unexpected, but upon closer thought, it's even crueler than prison. A person who believes they're sane being locked in a psychiatric ward, forcibly injected with medication every day, undergoing treatment. What about Su Ruohang? I asked. Filed for divorce yesterday and ran off with whatever money she could take, Captain Zhang said with disdain. I heard she was indeed pregnant, but the child wasn't Xin Zhao's. 5. I let out a light chuckle. In her past life, Su Ruohang was the white moonlight in Xin Zhao's heart, but in this life, she became the last straw that broke him. Fate can be truly ironic at times. Returning to the hospital room, Shen Nanlang was waiting for me, holding a document in his hand. Man, he said with a serious expression, I've revised the will. From today onward, you own 45% of Shin Corporation's shares, making you the largest shareholder. I looked at him in shock. It's too much. This is what you deserve. Shen Nanlang held my hand. You've not only secured the Shin family's future, but also saved my life twice. He paused. As for Xin Zhao, the 2% shares under his name have been reclaimed. From now on, he'll only receive basic living expenses each month, supervised by a trust fund. I leaned against his shoulder, hiding the coldness in my eyes. Xin Zhao, you've finally lost everything. The mental asylum will be your final destination, just like my past life, trapped in a hopeless marriage, only to die miserably beneath your feet. A week later, the children were discharged from the incubators and brought back to the Shin family estate. Shen Nanlang hired 4 professional maternity nurses to care for them around the clock. As for me, I gradually began taking over the operations of the Shin group. Sitting in Shen Nanlang's former seat, I flipped through the documents, my lips curling into an unconscious smile. In my past life, I was merely a breeding tool to be used, but in this life, I'd become the helmsman of this business empire. My phone vibrated. A message from the private investigator. Subject's 3rd day in psychiatric hospital, refuses to admit illness, forcibly administered sedatives, special care arranged per your request. I replied, continue observing and report regularly, putting down my phone. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down at the panoramic view of the city. Sunlight streamed through the glass, warm and bright upon me. The 4 children were sleeping peacefully in the nursery downstairs. Shen Nanling obeyed my every word, and Shen Zhao was living a fate worse than death in the mental hospital. The taste of revenge is sweeter than imagined. Madam, the secretary knocked and entered. Here are today's meeting minutes for your review. I took the document and gracefully signed my name, Jiang Manman. Once that pitiful woman who was deceived, exploited, and murdered, has now risen from the ashes like a phoenix. By the way, I called out to the secretary who was about to leave. Please contact the person in charge of the maternal and child brand Yuan Man for me. I'd like to discuss potential collaboration. The secretary nodded and left. This is my newly invested maternal and child brand. Named after the homophonic combination of mine and Shen Nanling's names, also symbolizing my rebirth, a fulfilled life, a fulfilled revenge. In the evening, I was strolling in the garden holding my youngest daughter Shenlin when Shen Nanling approached and gently put his arm around my shoulder. Tired? I'm not tired, I smiled, looking at the children. All weariness disappears. Shen Nanling kissed the top of my head. Thank you, Man, thank you for giving me all this. I leaned against his chest, watching the sunset turn the Shen family estate golden. For children, a husband who loves me, supreme power and wealth, all these were bought with the blood and tears of my past life. Shen Zhao, have you ever regretted that kick while in the mental hospital? The quadruplets 100-day celebration was held at the Shen family manor, with nearly all the business elite in attendance, wearing a custom champagne-colored gown. I stood at the center of the banquet hall accepting congratulations from everyone. My abdomen had regained its flatness, even becoming more toned than before pregnancy, thanks to strict daily postpartum recovery training. Chairman Jiang, congratulations, all 4 babies are healthy and beautiful. What a blessing. A female jewelry company owner warmly grasped my hand, saying, we've specially prepared a set from our new infant collection for each of your 4 little treasures. I smiled in gratitude, my peripheral vision catching Shen Nanling standing not far away. He was holding their youngest daughter Shenlin, his face brimming with unconcealable pride. Having a child at 45 is already rare, but having 4 healthy children at once has made him a legend among his friends. In a corner of the banquet hall, 4 nannies each held a child, surrounded by guests eager to share in the joy. I walked over and gently touched each child's little face. The eldest, Shen Rui, was sound asleep. The second, Shen Zhe, was wide-eyed and looking around. The third, Shen Yu, and the fourth, Shen Lin, were awake angels, neither crying nor fussing. Madam, there's a phone call for you. The butler, Uncle Lin, approached and handed me the phone. Ever since he was caught embezzling last time, this old butler's attitude has become much more respectful. The voice on the phone was the private detective, Ms. Jiang. Shen Zhao was released from the mental hospital yesterday. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, why? The diagnosis said he was in stable condition, and since Su Ruoheng left him some money during the divorce, he paid the bail. The detective paused, but the moment he left the hospital, someone was already tailing him. Who? A few rich kids he used to bully. The detective's voice carried a hint of schadenfreude. I heard he was forced to drink until he had a stomach hemorrhage at a bar last night. And this morning loan sharks came after him. Now he's hiding in a cheap motel in the east side of town. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. Keep watching him. Report back at any time. Hanging up the phone, I gazed at the crowd mingling with glasses in hand in the banquet hall. 3 months ago, Shen Zhao was still the eldest young master of the Shen family, basking in glory. Now he's become a stray dog, hunted by everyone. Karma is indeed relentless. Man, Shen Nanling approached, holding Shenlin in one arm while handing me a document with the other. Lawyer Zhou has brought the equity transfer agreement. You just need to sign it. I opened the document. 45% of Shen Group's shares were officially transferred under my name. This means I have not only become the largest shareholder of the group, but also legally the true mistress of the Shen family. Thank you. I signed my name and looked up to see the tenderness flickering in Shen Nanling's eyes. In this lifetime, he has indeed given me everything I wanted: status, wealth, children, and respect. By the way, Shen Nanling lowered his voice. Shen Zhao has been released. I feigned surprise. Really? What did the doctor say? They said he's no longer aggressive and can reintegrate into society. Shen Nanling sneered. I've got people watching him. If he steps out of line again, he'll be sent back immediately. I nodded and said no more. Shen Zhao was no longer a threat, a discarded, divorced, penniless wretch whose life was worse than death. After the banquet, I convened my first board meeting as the largest shareholder. In the conference room, the executives who once ignored me were now showing me utmost respect. Regarding the development plan for the Perfect Circle maternal infant brand, I opened the folder. I believe we should increase online marketing efforts while also opening physical experience stores. Lin Jifeng, once Shen Zhao's right-hand man, now my trusted assistant, immediately agreed. Chairman Zhang's insight is excellent. Our marketing department has already prepared a detailed proposal. After the meeting ended, I stayed alone in the office, turned on my computer, and checked the latest photos sent by the private investigator. Shen Zhao was curled up on a bed in a shabby hotel, his face sallow and his eyes sunken, bearing no resemblance to the former eldest son of the Shen family. The next photo was even more intriguing. Su Ruoheng was holding a young man's arm as they entered a high-end jewelry store. Her belly was slightly rounded, clearly showing she was several months pregnant. I put down my phone as sunlight streamed through the glass, warm and bright upon me. The taste of revenge is sweeter than imagined. Coming home in the evening, the children had just finished bathing, 4 little faces rosy and glowing, carrying the sweet scent of milk. I kissed each of them in turn, feeling an unprecedented sense of fulfillment welling up in my heart. "Madam," the nanny said softly, "Mr. Shen called to say he has a business dinner tonight and won't be coming home for the meal." I nodded, not particularly surprised. Ever since the children were born, Shen Nanling has trusted me more and given me greater personal freedom. This kind of respectful companionship actually feels more comfortable to me than forced intimacy. 4 children were playing under the care of a professional nanny. When they saw me enter, Shen Yu and Shen Lin babbled and reached out their hands asking to be held. I picked up my 2 daughters and gently rocked them. The sunlight streaming through the window bathed us in warmth and tranquility. In the afternoon, I visited the first physical store of the Perfect Circle maternal and infant brand. The store is spacious and bright, with warm and elegant decor that reflects my pursuit of quality in every detail. Chairman Jiang, the store manager, greeted warmly. "In just 1 week since opening, sales have already tripled our expectations." I smiled as I inspected the store, occasionally picking up products to examine them. This brand carries my love for my 4 children and embodies my philosophy as a mother. Back in the car, the phone rang again. It was Shen Nanling. Man, just got word that Shen Zhao died in the hospital." I gripped the phone tightly. "What happened?" "Alcohol poisoning combined with gastric hemorrhage. Couldn't be saved." Shen Nanling's voice sounded weary. "The police investigated. It was indeed an accident." I remained silent for a moment. "Should we arrange a funeral?" "No need," Shen Nanling said coldly. "He ceased to be part of the Shen family long ago." Hanging up the phone, I gazed out the window. Shen Zhao died, just like that, quietly passing away in the hospital without even a proper funeral. In my past life, he caused the death of me and my unborn child. In this life, he ended up alone and destitute. What goes around comes around. Retribution is inevitable. That evening, Shen Nanling returned unusually early, holding a bottle of red wine. "Care for a drink?" He shook the bottle. "Let's celebrate." I raised an eyebrow. "Celebrating what?" "A new life." Shen Nanling poured 2 glasses of wine and handed me one. "Shen Zhao is dead. Our child is growing up healthy. Our careers are thriving. Isn't that worth celebrating?" I took the glass and lightly clinked it with his. "It is." After several rounds of drinks, Shen Nanling's gaze softened. Man, thank you for giving me all this." I smiled without speaking. He would never know that my original intention in marrying him was revenge. But now, I truly appreciate him for giving me a new life. "By the way," Shen Nanling suddenly said, "I want to entrust more of the company's business to you. You have a business acumen far superior to my old subordinates." I raised an eyebrow. "Not afraid I'll undermine your authority, would you?" Shen Nanling retorted, a peculiar glint flashing in his eyes. We locked eyes for a moment, then smiled simultaneously. He knew my capabilities. I understood his boundaries. This unspoken understanding is stronger than love. Sure, I raised my glass, to a pleasant cooperation. Late at night, I stood by the bedroom window, gazing at the Shen family estate under the moonlight. In my past life, this place was my nightmare. But in this life, it has become my kingdom. 4 children, supreme power, immense wealth. I've obtained everything I desired. I gently caress my abdomen, where 4 little lives once grew, though flat now. It forever bears the mark of motherhood. Turning to look at the sleeping Shen Nanling on the bed, I smile faintly. In this life, I become exactly who I wanted to be: powerful, independent, and inviolable. Revenge fulfilled, life complete. Story 2. After Shen Yu was discovered to be the wrongly exchanged fake young master, he was kicked out of the Shen family. His fiancée felt ashamed and took the lead in bullying him at school. I couldn't bear it and helped him. I advised him to break off the engagement and rely on himself from then on. Later, Shen Yu became a new up-and-coming figure in the business circle. However, in order to marry his former fiancée, he shifted all that had happened back then onto me. They joined hands to bring down my family's company. causing my family to be ruined and me to commit suicide in hatred. When I opened my eyes again, Shinyu's fiancé asked me where he had gone. Without hesitation, I pointed to the alley at the back gate of the school. The alley has 2 exits. Remember to bring more people to block it. 1. Chinxi, I'll wait for you at the secret base. Don't tell anyone. The familiar voice pulled me back to reality from the void. Shinyu's bright eyes carried a plea. His delicate face was swollen high at the moment. The corner of his forehead seemed to have been pierced by something sharp, and blood dripped down his face drop by drop. I knew that this was from Xing Qianqian's kick. The identical scene from the previous life made me realize that I had been reborn back to 10 years ago, back to the beginning of all the pain. In the previous life, Xinyu was discovered to be the fake young master. The nanny of the Shin family back then was greedy and swapped the children of the 2 families. Once it was discovered, the Shin family immediately drove Xinyu out of the house. However, the engagement between Xing Qianqian and Xinyu still existed. Everyone in the circle was laughing at Xing Qianqian for going to marry the son of a nanny. Xing Qianqian, in a fit of anger, brought people to bully Xinyu at school. Xinyu couldn't afford to offend them and could only hide. When I saw the once noble Xinyu in such a sorry state, I felt compassion. I not only helped him to see the chasing Xing Qianqian away but also sent him to the hospital. Xinyu had no money on him, so I advanced the medical expenses and called the police for him. The police came forward to educate Xing Qianqian and inform the school of everything. Naturally, the school wouldn't take any action against Xing Qianqian. After all, when Xing Qianqian entered the school, the Xing family had donated a building to the school. Because of the matter of calling the police, Xinyu's life became increasingly difficult. The injuries on his body were getting heavier day by day. I was so angry that I exposed everything on the internet. Triggering the anger of the whole network, the school's reputation was damaged, and finally, unable to withstand the pressure, it had to expel Xing Qianqian. The Xing family felt ashamed and directly sent Xing Qianqian abroad. On the day Xing Qianqian went abroad, I accompanied Xinyu to the Xing family to break off the engagement. After that, the 2 of them went their separate ways and had nothing to do with each other anymore. After getting rid of the bullying, Xinyu pulled himself together again. With my tutoring, his grades improved continuously, and he quickly ranked among the top 10 in the grade. The classmates all joked that Xinyu was playing the leading male role in a starting point novel, breaking off the engagement and making a comeback, slapping his fiancée in the face. Indeed, as they said, 5 years after graduation, Xinyu became a new up-and-coming figure in the business circle, with an unlimited future. But Xinyu's high-spiritedness was precisely the beginning of my nightmare. 2. Xinyu fell in love with his former fiancée Xing Qianqian, who had bullied him. If Xinyu was playing the role of the counter-attacking male protagonist, then Xing Qianqian was the female protagonist in a sadomasochistic love story. Xinyu achieved success and fame, while Xing Qianqian regretted it. After some entanglement, the 2 got engaged again and became fiancés once more. After being together, Xing Qianqian was obsessed with the fact that Xinyu had broken off the engagement back then. She was also dissatisfied with my existence. When Xinyu found out, he shifted all the blame of that year onto me. It was me who forced him to go to the hospital, me who called the police, me who caused the online public opinion, and me who forced the break off of the engagement. Xinyu cleared himself completely. He shaped my kindness into a secret love for him and my failure to get him. Later, the 2 of them joined hands to suppress my family's company. Under their scheme, my family declared bankruptcy. My father owed hundreds of millions of debts. He was in a daze and didn't pay attention to dodging while driving, and died in a car accident. When my mother found out, she had a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital on the spot but couldn't be saved. And on this day, Xinyu and Xing Qianqian held a century-old wedding, which everyone envied. My family was ruined, and I was completely disheartened. I climbed to the top floor of the Shin group and jumped off. Unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes again, I returned to the time when Xinyu was being bullied. This time, I won't be so kind-hearted to help him anymore. I want to watch Xinyu be buried in the quagmire and never be able to turn around. 3. My thoughts returned. Seeing that I didn't reply, Xinyu had already run away. My family was a nouveau riche when I first transferred. I was isolated by all my classmates. Only Xinyu, who was the monitor, took more care of me. There was an old woman selling delicious bean curd in the alley at the back gate of the school, but the students studying in this school all came from wealthy or noble families, and not many people went there to eat every day. I would occasionally help the old woman out. Later, the old woman passed away, and I was also used to going there to sit occasionally. Gradually, it became my secret base. Xinyu also knew about this, so this time, when he was chased by Xing Qianqian with nowhere to hide, he went there. Jiangqingxi, have you seen Xinyu? Xing Qianqian's arrogant voice pulled back my thoughts. There were a group of followers behind her. Half of them were her suitors. The remaining half were the followers of her suitors. They also disliked Xinyu. After knowing that Xing Qianqian was going to deal with Xinyu, they all volunteered. Without hesitation, I pointed to the alley at the back gate of the school. Xinyu went that way. The alley is quite deep and has 2 exits. Remember to bring more people to block it. Xing Qianqian's expression was blank for a moment, as if she didn't expect me to answer so simply. You're not lying to me. You actually betrayed Xinyu. I spread my hands. Miss Xing, I'm just a passer-by and not familiar with Xinyu. I'm not curious about your love-hate relationship either. So you don't need to doubt me, Xing Qianqian sneered. I understand. You see that Xinyu has fallen and want to curry favor with me. Let me tell you. No way. I was speechless. If you think so, I can't help it. Also, if you don't chase him, he'll run away. Xing Qianqian gave me a fierce look and led the followers behind her straight to the back alley. I took a deep breath and turned to walk towards the classroom. The smell of youth is really nice. It was not until a week later that I saw Xinyu again at school. The bruises on his face had mostly faded, only his forehead had been stitched a few times, and the gauze hadn't been removed yet. From the moment he entered the classroom, he would look at me from time to time, as if he wanted to say something but held back. As soon as the teacher announced the end of class, he came over. Qingxi, why did you betray me that day? My hand that was doing the questions paused, and I asked him in return. Xinyu, did you call the police that day? Xinyu was stunned. Call the police? I couldn't call the police. Qianqian, well, that's it. I interrupted him impatiently. What does the fun play between you 2 fiancés have to do with me? A passer-by. Xinyu froze in place, his face turning green and then white. I directly ignored him and lowered my head to continue studying. Xinyu had to leave reluctantly. But not long after, Xinyu actually started to pursue me high-profilely. When I arrived at the classroom in the morning, breakfast and hot milk were already placed on my desk. During the break, as soon as I picked up my cup, a cup filled with water was brought in front of me. I ignored all of this and focused on my studies. Then he would send me a cute pen every day, or write some encouraging notes. He even bought the latest exercise books. I refused to accept all of these and returned them to him. I thought he would stop after being crazy for a while, but unexpectedly, he directly changed his seat to the side of mine. Wherever I went, he went, just like at this moment. As soon as I stood up, he immediately stood up and followed me. Qingxi, where are you going? I'll go with you. I rolled my eyes. The women's restroom. Do you want to go? Xinyu forced a smile and sat back, with the idea of avoiding him. I stayed in the restroom for a while longer. Qianqian, why is Xinyu pursuing Jiangqingxi? Don't you have an engagement? Xing Qianqian sneered. I don't want to have an engagement with that nanny's son. Does he even think he's worthy? I just casually said that he's not likable. He refused to accept it and said he would prove it to me, so I made a bet with him to see if he could win Jiangqingxi's heart within a month. The conversation between Xing Qianqian and the other person made me stop. You 2 are willing to play this game, and you can still drag me into it. You're dumping all this garbage on me. Do you think I'm a garbage recycling station? I returned to the classroom with a cold face. The head teacher was announcing that the school would hold a mobilization meeting next week. At that time, the school would invite graduated seniors and seniors to give lectures. Hearing this, I suddenly thought of someone. Next week, a senior named Xie Junqing would come. He was exactly the white moonlight that Xing Qianqian couldn't get. This was also one of the reasons why Xing Qianqian was eager to get rid of Xinyu. Since that's the case, I want to make it impossible for her and her white moonlight to be together. I want to lock her and Xinyu together completely. 5. When Xinyu came up to fawn on me again, I didn't directly refuse. I took the milk tea he gave and took a sip, frowning. So sweet. Do you want to choke me to death? Xinyu was a bit at a loss. He didn't drink milk tea. When he was the young master of the Shin family before, he had never flattered anyone. Naturally, he didn't know what to do at this moment. I casually threw the milk tea into the trash can and returned to my seat to continue doing the math test paper. In the previous life, my grades were also excellent, but I spent some of my energy tutoring Xinyu. As a result, I barely got into University A and couldn't choose my favorite major. In this life, I'm going to participate in the last round of the competition and be directly recommended for admission. After finishing a test paper, Xinyu came to apologize with a new cup of milk tea. Qingxi, this cup is without sugar. It's definitely not sweet. I didn't take it. Do you know why Xing Qianqian said you're not likable? Xinyu was stunned. His lips moved, as if he wanted to ask me how I knew. I patted Xinyu on the shoulder. I don't mind you using me as practice to pursue Xing Qianqian, but what you're doing now doesn't look like pursuing a girl, it's more like being someone else's follower." As my voice fell, Xinyu's brows furrowed completely. I knew that he had listened. I continued to persuade him. "What you need more now is to clarify your feelings to Xing Qianqian. Only when you confess will these actions of yours be called pursuit." Xinyu smiled bitterly. "She will reject me." I glared at him in frustration. "As long as you're romantic enough, you can make her unable to refuse you." Xinyu was silent for a long time before saying, "Can you teach me what to do?" I raised the corners of my lips. "Of course." 6. Soon it was the day of the mobilization meeting. Most of the seniors invited by the school were from University A, the top-tier institution in the country. The other half were studying abroad, after all. They were all young ladies and young masters from wealthy families who liked to get a gilded education. At the school gate, among a row of plain checked skirts, Xing Qianqian's white waist cinching skirt stood up particularly. This was the student union reception organized by the school, responsible for leading the seniors to the auditorium. Such a hard and tiring job, Xing Qianqian never considered before. This time, she specifically asked for this quota. Xie Junqing arrived last. He was wearing a loose black t-shirt, a baseball cap pressing down on his stubble, and gray sweatpants below. Compared with Xing Qianqian's elaborate dress, he looked extremely casual. He didn't seem to be here to give a lecture but rather passing by. Seeing that the person had arrived, Xing Qianqian immediately greeted him. "Senior Xia, long time no see." Xie Junqing didn't even look at her. He nodded casually and walked in with big steps. He left Xing Qianqian behind, chasing in a sorry state in her scheming high-heeled shoes. I laughed. I thought they were so close, but Xie Junqing didn't remember who she was at all. In the previous life, I saw Xie Junqing's name on the hot search and learned something about him. The Xie family was a family of scholars. They weren't extremely wealthy but had power. Xie Junqing had always ranked first in the grade from childhood to adulthood. In high school, he was recommended to University A after studying for only 1 year. Don't look at him as a postgraduate student now. In fact, he's only 2 years older than me. In the previous life, during his doctoral studies, he developed a new anti-cancer drug and was once called the light of the medical field. Everyone said that with him around, it was only a matter of time before cancer was conquered. With his family background, good looks, and talent, he once became the white moonlight of all the girls in the circle, but now it seems that Xie Junqing has no intention of falling in love at all. Xing Qianqian's flirtatious looks were all in vain. When the two of them arrived at the auditorium, everyone was present. Xie Junqing and the others were arranged seats uniformly. Xing Qianqian had to sit in the back row reluctantly. The principal's boring speech lasted for 2 hours and finally came to an end. Xie Junqing was the first senior to speak. He got up and went to the backstage to prepare to go on stage. Perhaps the methods of a genius don't apply to everyone. The speech Xie Junqing prepared was very short. He started to express his gratitude in just 3 minutes. Seeing this, Xing Qianqian got up and prepared to rush to the backstage. At this moment, the beam of light on the stage suddenly went out and shone on Xing Qianqian's position. Everyone turned their heads in unison to look at her position. I took advantage of the darkness to touch the stage, grabbed Xie Junqing, and pulled him down. The lights on the stage lit up again. It was Xingyu holding a large bouquet of roses. He had specially tidied himself up today, with a white shirt and black trousers. His figure was tall and straight, showing off his youthful charm. He was holding a microphone in his other hand and looking at Xing Qianqian affectionately. "Xing Qianqian, I'm telling you in front of all the teachers and students in the school that I like you. Your beauty and elegance always amaze me. Every time I see you, my heart beats faster as if it's going to jump out of my chest." 7. All the students in the audience started too, and several members of the Atmosphere Creating Group I hired shouted, "Get together," loudly. This kind of forced confession made Xing Qianqian's face look uglier and uglier. She couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, "Shut up. All of you shut up." However, her voice couldn't suppress the sound of the microphone at all, and Xinyu was still affectionately reciting the love letter I found on Baidu. It was cheesy and boring. Xie Junqing beside me had no intention of watching the excitement and turned around to leave. I took 2 steps forward. "Senior Xia, it's dark here, let me see you out." Xie Junqing glanced at the work ID hanging around my neck and nodded hesitantly, out of the corner of her eye. Xing Qianqian caught sight of our figures walking out and became even more anxious. She realized that she couldn't stop this confession and turned around and ran. Seeing this, those in the Atmosphere Creating Group immediately changed their tune. "She's shy, she's shy." Some even blocked the aisle so that she couldn't leave immediately. I led Xie Junqing slowly towards the entrance of the auditorium, and Xing Qianqian became increasingly anxious. She stared intently at Xie Junqing. For fear that he would run away, noticing her gaze, I pretended to trip and fell towards Xie Junqing unsteadily. Xie Junqing subconsciously supported my arm and pulled me up. I gently placed my other hand on his waist. From Xing Qianqian's perspective, it looked like Xie Junqing was supporting me and I was hugging Xie Junqing's waist. Seeing this scene, Xing Qianqian was so angry that her face turned blue. She glared fiercely at me and Xie Junqing, wishing she could rush up and tear the two of us to pieces. Seeing that I had achieved my goal, I decisively pulled away from Xie Junqing. I said in a low voice, "Thank you, senior." Before Xie Junqing could reply, I directly quickened my pace and led him out. After leaving the auditorium, I casually asked about the biology competition as if by accident. Xie Junqing was a bit surprised. This competition is very difficult. It's not easy to grab the qualification for direct admission. It's better to prepare for the college entrance examination. I tilted my head. Should we give up just because it's difficult? Will senior give up when encountering research that's difficult to overcome? Xie Junqing didn't expect me to ask such a question and was stunned there for a moment. Seeing this, I smiled more brightly. Senior Xie definitely won't give up, right? Whether it's a small problem or thousands of problems, they won't defeat you. You will always move forward towards your goal and never give up. Neither will I. After being stunned for a moment, Xie Junqing raised the corners of his mouth and showed his first smile today. I have a lot of competition materials. I can give them to you if you need them. Great. I'm really benefiting from the god of learning. Taking the opportunity, I took out my phone, opened WeChat, and handed it to Xie Junqing. Senior, add me on WeChat. Xie Junqing didn't refuse. He took the phone. His knuckles slightly bent, and entered his number. After entering, he handed the phone back to me. I grabbed the other end of the phone, but Xie Junqing didn't let go. He lowered his head, his dark eyes staring straight at me with determination. Junior, see you at University A8. Xinyu's confession to Xing Qianqian was forcibly suppressed by the teacher. No one dared to mention this matter at school. However, not long after, clips from that day became popular on short video platforms. The outstanding looks of the two and the positioning of the noble school made the video go viral. Countless netizens were crazy about it. I hired some online water army and created a topic. Hashtag was Xing Qianqian touched today hashtag. There were some intimate efforts that Xinyu made for Xing Qianqian. At first, I was the one posting, and later, after this post became famous, it attracted a large number of students to leave messages. For example, this one, "Ah. Xing Qianqian mentioned yesterday that she wanted to eat strawberry cake, and Xinyu bought it today. Is this what it means to respond to every word? I'm so into it." Netizens commented below, "So sweet, how can you bear not to agree to him? Xing Qianqian, get together, get together." The overbearing young lady X, the persistent top student who only has eyes for her. It really hits me. As the online popularity increased, Xing Qianqian couldn't sit still anymore. She took out all her anger on Xinyu, and she directly resorted to violence, beating him into the hospital. Xinyu wouldn't be able to return to school for at least 2 or 3 months. After the male protagonist was absent, the online popularity finally decreased a bit. Xing Qianqian spent money to delete all the posts completely, and the hot search disappeared completely. The campus returned to quiet again, and so did my life. A week of peaceful days passed. One day, after class, the head teacher called me to the office. "Qingxi, you know about Xinyu being hospitalized, right?" Hearing Xinyu's name, my eyelids twitched, and I had a bad premonition. Sure enough, the head teacher said, before Xinyu was hospitalized, his grades had been dropping. This time, he's directly hospitalized for a month. I thought that since you two had a good relationship before, you might as well work a little harder during this period. Get out of class early every day and go to the hospital to tutor classmate Shin. Tutor Xinyu. In the previous life, I was so kind-hearted that I did such a selfless and stupid thing. In this life, I will never do such a thankless thing again. I refused. Teacher, the internet is very developed now. You can search for anything you don't understand. He can study by himself completely. The head teacher frowned. This is too lacking in classmate friendship. Many difficult problems on the internet are not clearly analyzed and can't be targeted. I sneered. Then you are more suitable to go. You can not only express the friendship between teachers and students but also provide targeted, one-on-one tutoring. The head teacher didn't expect me to refuse so firmly, and her face suddenly turned as black as ink. Student Jiang Qingxi. The teacher remembers that you signed up for the biology competition, right? The school won't give the quota to a student with bad moral character. I hope you understand. I was almost amused. The head teacher meant to threaten me with the competition quota. If I didn't go to the hospital to tutor Shinyu, she would give the quota to someone else on the grounds that I had bad moral character. This was a blatant threat. Seeing that I understood her meaning, the head teacher patted me on the shoulder. Don't be in a hurry, think it over. Sometimes suffering losses is a blessing. There's no need to be so stubborn. Not be stubborn, be filled with anger instead, bend over backwards for others and wrong myself. Don't be so hypocritical. My mammary glands are also mammary glands. However, I have no grudges against the head teacher, and Shinyu doesn't seem to have any connection with the head teacher either. The only explanation is that this is Xing Qianqian's doing again. Since I can't oppose it, I'll face it head on. You have your tricks. And I have my ways. I pretended to compromise and changed my words. I'll go. The head teacher nodded in satisfaction. That's a good girl. Good girl. How ironic. 9. The head teacher exempted me from evening self-study and the last class in the afternoon. She said it was to make it more convenient for me to go to the hospital. I didn't object. After packing up my test papers, I went to the hospital. Shinyu was down and out now and naturally didn't have a VIP ward. And this ordinary ward had 4 beds and was very noisy. When he saw me come in, he didn't say anything. He knew that he had been tricked by me and was angry. No one would spoil him. I wished he would be angry and stay away from me. I threw his books in front of him and then casually found a table to do my test papers. I didn't look at him once throughout the process. Before long, Shinyu finally couldn't hold it in anymore. The teacher said to let you come and tutor me. Is this how you tutor? I snorted. Oh, who do you think you are? Are you being picky? Have you paid me for tutoring, young Master Shen? The word money immediately made Shinyu shut up. I put on my earphones with peace of mind, blocked out the noise in the ward, and started doing the questions. After that, every day I came to the ward to punch in as if I were completing a task, did 2 test papers, and then went home. I thought that Xing Qianqian arranged this to lure me out of school and teach me a lesson. So I specifically told the bodyguards and the driver to keep a distance. Unexpectedly, Xing Qianqian had a different plan. She took pictures of me and Shinyu and posted them on the school's confession wall. The goddess of learning X the down and out top student. This CP is so good. The top-rated comments below were obviously the work of someone she hired to lead the rhythm. So sweet, Shinyu. Cherish the person in front of you. This one is your perfect match. Xing Qianqian was using the same tactics against me. She used the means I had used before and forcibly tied me and Shinyu together with public opinion. What was more exciting was that I didn't see this news on the confession wall. It was Xie Junqing who shared it with me. After getting the materials from him last time, I hadn't chatted with him again. I asked him, did Xing Qianqian send it to you? Xie Junqing sent a screenshot. It was exactly what Xing Qianqian had sent him. And she also made up a lot of love stories about me and Shinyu. It was so wonderful that I thought she had hired a writer. Xing Qianqian did this probably because she was stimulated by me and Xie Junqing that day. She wanted to put an end to the possibility between me and him. How could I let her get what she wanted so easily? Trash should stay in the trash can. Xing Qianqian was destined to be with Shinyu. I took out the test paper I had done last night and took a photo to send to Xie Junqing. Senior, I've almost finished the previous test papers. I want to buy a few less-known test books to broaden my horizons, but I don't know much about which ones to buy. Are you free this weekend? Hearing this, Xie Junqing seriously shared a lot of official account articles and book lists with me. These are relatively less known, but maybe the major competition questions will focus on them. You can buy them and practice when you have time. I didn't answer whether I would buy them or not but replied to him, Senior, see you at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning at the city library. 10. In the following week, I didn't go to the hospital to see Shinyu again. Time seemed to have legs and, before I knew it, it was Saturday. When I arrived at the library, Xie Junqing was already waiting at the door. He was wearing a hat and a mask, in a clean white shirt and black trousers, with a tall and straight figure, even though his face couldn't be seen. It still attracted the surrounding girls to look back frequently. He noticed my arrival, looked up, and waved to me. The library in the city center was very large. I deliberately took my time and wandered around aimlessly. Xie Junqing wasn't impatient, and whenever I picked up a book, he could talk about it at length. I was like a child who had found a fun toy, picking books from the first row of bookshelves to the last row, whether it was profound mathematics and physics or long-standing history. Nothing could stump Xie Junqing, until in the corner of the last row, I took out a colorful romance novel. What about this one? Xie Junqing's pupils suddenly contracted. The Runaway Bride of the Prince of the Capital Circle. After reading the title, Xie Junqing's ears turned red in an instant. I don't read these. As soon as he finished speaking, as if he realized something, he stammered and added an explanation. I didn't mean that this kind of book is bad. Everyone has their own preferences, it's just that I haven't read these. I was amused by his flustered look and stuffed the book into his hands. Then I'll treat Senior to read it. Consider it as broadening Senior's knowledge and opening the door to a new world. Xie Junqing took it blankly. Ah, okay, thank you, Junior. I will read it carefully, imagining that scene. I couldn't hold back the corners of my mouth and burst out laughing. 11. After Xie Junqing left, a girl came up to me with a camera. Miss, you and your boyfriend are so sweet, even random shots look great. The girl was the hired photographer I had arranged. She was very professional, although we were just picking books. She managed to capture an extremely ambiguous atmosphere. It looked like a young couple on a date in the library on the weekend. If Xing Qianqian saw such photos, she would probably go crazy on the spot. Thinking of this, I immediately uploaded the photos. The title was, Who Can Understand? I Was Sweet, Killed by a Young Couple While Visiting the Library. This picture, text post went viral even faster than Xing Yu's confession video. Xing Qianqian was getting her hair done when she saw the news. She was so angry that she almost smashed the salon. However, the Xing family was rich and could afford to pay for it. After hearing this gossip, I silently asked my dad to add 2 more bodyguards to pick me up and drop me off. Coincidentally, my family was nouveau riche and also not short of money. Moreover, after being reborn, based on my memories of the previous life, I asked my dad to invest in many projects that were sure to make a profit. Some of them were movies and TV shows that were sure to be extremely profitable. I was completely relying on my memories of the previous life to cheat and pick up money everywhere. So in this life, even if Xing Qianqian convinced the Xing family to take action against me, our family would never end up heavily in debt and ruined as in the previous life. The days that followed were very ordinary, but it was like the calm before the storm. I knew that when Xing Qianqian was pushed to the limit, she would definitely take action against me at school. And this was the opportunity for me to completely bring her down. 12. One noon, I didn't take a lunch break but found a study room to do test papers. The study room was very quiet. I was wearing earphones, and there was only the rustling sound of the pen tip on the paper. The next second, a screeching sound interrupted the tranquility. It was the sound of a chair being moved. The earphones I was wearing were suddenly yanked off, and Xing Qianqian appeared in front of me. Jiang Qingxi, I thought you would be a coward who would hide, but I didn't expect you to be so bold as to be alone in the study room. Alone? I slightly raised my eyebrows and turned my head to look at the registration desk at the door. Oh, the student on duty today had been sent away. Xing Qianqian noticed my gaze and became even more arrogant. She took out a lighter and lit a cigarette, took a puff, and exhaled, in the smoke. She held the scarlet cigarette butt up to my face. Is this the face you used to seduce Xie Junqing? I moved my chair back 2 steps. Xing Qianqian sneered twice. Now you know you're afraid. It's too late. After she finished speaking, the other 2 girls who came in with her walked around the table and approached me from the left and right. What are you going to do, Xing Qianqian? This is campus bullying. These 2 shouts of mine made Xing Qianqian even more excited. The 2 girls grabbed my arms and pressed me firmly against the table. Xing Qianqian pinched the cigarette butt and moved it closer to my face. Don't worry, you'll be able to walk out of the study room upright. I'll just burn a few scars, let Xie Junqing see your ugly appearance, and then stay far away from you. Her tone was as if what she was going to do to me was perfectly justified. It was the brand from the upper class to the lower class. It was a kind of favor. I struggled and shouted. Xing Qianqian, I'll tell the head teacher. Tell the principal, you'll be punished. Xing Qianqian seemed to have heard a joke. Who are you going to tell? The head teacher, the principal. Even if they come right now, they wouldn't dare to say a word. With the equipment and buildings my Xing family donated to the school, they'll just lick my boots like lapdogs. Understand? My lips trembled helplessly, and my eyes were filled with uncontrollable panic. Then I closed my eyes and struggled violently as if facing death. The 2 girls quickly increased their strength to hold me down. I couldn't move my arms, and my legs kicked wildly, directly knocking over the table in front of me. The phone on the table slipped to the ground, and the screen was smashed to pieces. Xing Qianqian took the opportunity to step on it with her sharp-heeled shoes and grind it. After the phone flashed for a while, it was completely broken. I lowered my head and stopped moving. Xing Qianqian ordered triumphantly, drag her to the table at the back for me. I want to. She didn't finish her words and stood there in a daze with her pupils wide. The 2 people she had ordered twitched twice. Their legs went weak, and they fell to the ground directly. I stood in the middle, holding a stun gun for self-defense. Xing Qianqian, it's you who are stupid. 13. I had long guessed that Xing Qianqian would take action, so I started a live streaming study session 2 weeks ago. In the live streaming room, I stated that I was a senior high school student, only doing test questions and answering study-related questions. After I hired professionals to operate it and invested a large amount of money, more and more fans flooded into my live streaming room. There were parents and students, but they were all my mom fans. Today, I sent a notice early that I would live stream for a while at noon, doing test questions in the school study room. So when Xing Qianqian came in, I wasn't listening to music with my earphones on but was live streaming. The live streaming room recorded everything Xing Qianqian did and broadcast all her actions in real time. First, I pretended to be panicked and shouted Xing Qianqian's name, and then directly told everyone that this was a case of campus bullying. Then, I exposed their acts of working together to do evil and the fact that the head teacher and the principal had covered up for her. I worked so hard to act for so long just to guide Xing Qianqian to say these things and send her to an irreparable hell with her own hands. 14. Campus bullying is the hatred of all the people. Every time such a thing happens, it will set off a heated discussion on the internet. This doesn't require spending money at all, relying on the justice of everyone. It can top the hot search. And enthusiastic netizens called the police immediately, when I was successfully rescued. The police and reporters had already arrived. The principal and the head teacher were the last to come. I pretended to be a victim and huddled under the table, while the girl I had called in advance stepped forward to explain. I left a book in the study room this morning. I didn't expect to run into this scene by chance. I happened to have a stun gun with me, so I took advantage of their inattention to surprise attack them and then saved Qingxi. I can't imagine what would have happened to Qingxi if I had come one step later. She's so good looking and studies so well. If she were to be completely devastated because of this, she choked up at this point and didn't continue, and everyone could imagine what the result would be after that. Her interview was put on the internet by the reporter and attracted the attention of the government. The principal and the head teacher were also removed from their positions and investigated, and many bribery cases were uncovered. The new acting principal, in order to save the school's reputation, directly expelled Xing Qianqian and led the teachers and students to organize an anti-bullying association. All netizens jointly boycotted the products of the Xing family. And the stock price of the Xing group plummeted continuously. In order to protect their industry, the Xing family directly cut off relations with Xing Qianqian. Xing Qianqian completely became a discarded card. 15. A week after Xing Qianqian was expelled, Xing Yu was discharged from the hospital and returned to school. He had long hair covering his eyes, and he became very gloomy. Some classmates said that he had become like this because of a broken heart. But I knew that it wasn't because of a broken heart but because he had lost hope. After being reborn, I often wondered, did Xing Yu really love Xing Qianqian to the core? Would he still love her so much even after being bullied? In fact, no, Xing Yu didn't like Xing Qianqian. What he liked was the Xing family behind Xing Qianqian, the wealth. Marrying Xing Qianqian was the only way for him, a fake young master, to return to the Xing family. Of course he had to hold on to all of this tightly and never let go. Now that Xing Qianqian had fallen from the status of a wealthy young lady, Xing Yu naturally lost hope. Xing Yu's presence in the class became weaker and weaker, and I still didn't let my guard down against him. After the results of the biology competition were announced, I successfully obtained the qualification for direct admission to University A. I didn't let the teacher announce this news but kept it a secret. I still came to the class to attend classes every day. Compared with before, I began to allocate energy to tutoring the classmates in the class who studied hard and were striving to change their lives. The last days passed by as fast as the wind. In the sweltering summer, the shrill chirping of cicadas kicked off the college entrance examination. When I went out of the classroom and downstairs, a towel suddenly stretched out from behind and covered my mouth. I struggled twice and finally fell down weakly. 16. When I woke up again, I was no longer at school. I was tied up in an unfinished building. Seeing that I woke up, Xing Yu pulled a smile at the corner of his mouth. Surprise! He leaned closer, put the phone in front of my eyes, and tapped the phone screen with his finger. Time's up, Qingxi. You have no chance to take the college entrance examination. From today on, you're no longer a god of learning. You'll become a loser like me. We're the same kind of people now. As he spoke, he even danced and cheered. Then, he somehow took out a large bouquet of roses and knelt in front of me. Qingxi, shall we be together? I'll treat you well. Let's start over together. Together. Pa. I directly spat in his face. I rarely act so impolitely to people, unless the other person is not even human. Xing Yu wiped his face in disbelief. You don't agree. Why don't you agree? He roared. How dare you not agree? How dare you? How dare you? As he shouted, he threw the roses away crazily, and rushed towards me with a knife in his hand. "We have to be together, together forever, forever." At the moment when the sharp knife reached in front of me, it was kicked away by a foot. It was my bodyguard who appeared. He untied the rope for me and stood behind me. The other bodyguards had already subdued Xinyu and pinned him to the ground. I tidied up my messy hair. "Xinyu, I never trusted you. So as soon as you were discharged from the hospital, I hired someone to keep an eye on you. As for the college entrance examination you mentioned, oh, I forgot to tell you, I, the god of learning, have already been recommended for admission." The moment the truth was revealed, Xinyu trembled all over and then roared loudly, "Impossible. This is impossible." I clapped my hands, and the bodyguard brought another person up. It was Xing Tiantian. I pushed Xing Tiantian in front of him. "This is your lover, the one you've been desperately pursuing. I wish you two a happy marriage and an early birth of a precious child in advance." Xinyu suddenly grabbed Xing Tiantian's wrist. "You're not worthy. How can you, a vicious woman, be worthy of being with me?" Xing Tiantian flew into a rage and slapped Xinyu directly. "I'm not worthy. You're the one who's not worthy. A nanny's son dares to have designs on me. A toad wants to eat swan meat." Xinyu let go dejectedly, his expression desolate, like a trapped beast. The next second, he raised his head, broke free from the bodyguards with a ferocious face, and rushed straight towards Xing Tiantian. He pushed Xing Tiantian hard. "Die, die, die. It's all your fault. You go die for me." Xing Tiantian lost her balance and was pushed back 5 or 6 meters by him. Her whole body fell directly from the building. Xinyu showed a look of joy, but before he could be happy, his body tilted and he was actually directly dragged down by Xing Tiantian. Bang! There was a loud noise. The two were tightly embraced, as if they were a couple deeply in love, falling to the ground together. The sun shone down, and large, bright red roses seemed to bloom on the ground. 17. Xing Tiantian became Xinyu's cushion and died on the spot. Xinyu was finally rescued, but he was left with a lifelong disability. He was taken away by the police for kidnapping and attempted murder. It was said that when he was taken away, his mental state was not normal. He kept saying that it shouldn't be like this, that everything was wrong, and that it was clearly not like this in his previous life. I guessed that after he was rescued, he was reborn, waking up after being reborn, facing a self who hadn't finished high school, was disabled, and had a criminal record. Anyone would not be able to bear it, right? But all of this was because of himself. He had to shoulder the consequences of his own actions. During the summer vacation, I took my parents on a national tour, mainly because the previous incident of Xing Tiantian's bullying had made my mother very uneasy. She kept repenting, thinking it was her fault. "If I hadn't educated you to be upright and kind-hearted since you were a child, this wouldn't have happened." I hugged my mother tightly. "The fault doesn't lie in being kind. We're not wrong. The kind-hearted help in the previous life and the vicious counter-attack in this life, neither was wrong. The mistake was just the choice at that moment. And in this life, in my life, I made the most correct choice." After that, life bloomed towards the sun, full of brilliance and splendor. Extra story. On the day I reported to University A, my parents were very worried and wished they could move the whole house for me. Finally, like a refugee, I secretly went to report alone. The corner of his forehead seemed to have been pierced by something sharp, and blood dripped down his face drop by drop. "Me, Junior, do you need help? Your senior is really good at carrying boxes." I hesitated for a moment and was about to hand over the box when suddenly a pair of hands with distinct knuckles held the pole.